sunny in Salt Lake City.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
KSL News Time, 9 o'clock. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. The outdoor adventure community in Moab is mourning the death of a well-known base jumper and slackliner who died in a base jumping accident. Andy Lewis was known as Sketchy Andy on social media and did tandem jumps with hundreds of other people near Moab before he died. Ruth Bryson tells KSL Lewis did a jump with her.
It's funny how you can meet certain people in your life that you only know for a couple hours, but they leave such a big impact on you. And Andy was that for me.
Police say Lewis and another 50-year-old man died after something went wrong during their tandem jump near Canyonlands National Park yesterday. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The FAA and NTSB are investigating a deadly plane crash in Missouri Sunday morning. ABC's Matt Rivers is on site in Butler.
The Pacific Aerospace P-750 plane holding 11 passengers, all preparing to skydive. Shortly after takeoff, a city official says it appears the pilot may have been trying to make an emergency landing on a flat roadway nearby, but the plane stalled and crashed. The company operating the flight, Skydive Kansas City, saying in a statement, "Our deepest sympathies are with the families, friends, and loved ones of all who were lost."
All 12 people on board died in the crash. A woman in Brazil died after bungee jumping instructors did not attach the rope to her. She fell 130 feet off the Skeleton Key Bridge, dying instantly. The whole thing was caught on video. BBC reports the instructors, who worked for a private company, are now facing potential charges for her death. Your money at this moment, the Dow up 636 points to 51,838. The NASDAQ up 666 points to 26,555. Coming up today, warm, and it only goes up from here. KSL Weather's next. KSL News Time, 9:02.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're there to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
He shoots, he scores!
What would you like the power to do? Explore winning business solutions at BofA.com/gamechangers. Bank of America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs to keep mixers, conveyors, and packaging equipment moving. With Grainger's vast selection of bearings, belts, and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
1 in 5 Utah kids face hunger. And the summer months make things even more challenging because families can no longer rely on school meals to help them get by. These days, the situation is more dramatic than ever. That's why Utah Food Bank is again holding its annual Summer Business Food and Fund Drive, encouraging organizations of all sizes to gather food for donations for families. Beginning in early June and running through the end of August, the Summer Business Food and Fund Drive is your chance to make a difference for families seeking emergency food requests to help stretch their budgets. Rally your coworkers, friends, or a community group of any size to make a collection. Every dollar earned turns into more than $7 in the form of goods and services to help those in need. What are you waiting for? Organize your Summer Business Food and Fund Drive today. To find out more or to get ideas for your own DIY fundraiser, visit utahfoodbank.org.
Hey, honey, I was thinking about updating the house a little.
A little?
You know, new siding, new windows, gutters that actually work, maybe even a new deck.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, I called RGS Exteriors.
Well, that's a good decision.
When it comes to upgrading your home's exterior, the right choice is easy. RGS Exteriors specializes in siding, windows, gutters, and decking that transform the look and protection of your home.
Hi, Tim Brown, RGS Exteriors. My family has been building and improving homes in Utah for 5 generations, and taking care of homeowners is something we take very serious. With over 1,300 5-star Google reviews, 21 Best of State awards, and our 10-year workmanship warranty, homeowners know they can trust RGS. Over 200,000 families across Utah have trusted RGS Exteriors with their home, and so can you. Schedule your free estimate today at 801-280-3110, 801-280-3110.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. Here's Cormac Bone.
Worst delays are still westbound I-215 southbound just after Union Park Avenue and approaching State Street. They've eased up quite a bit from the morning drive, but it is still heavy in that construction zone as you try to get off the freeway at State Street. Eastbound on I-80, that right lane normal filling up between Kimball Junction and the US 40 turnoff. And in Lehigh, it's 2100 north. That construction's still very heavy between Redwood Road and I-15. But on I-15, still no delays between Ogden and Provo. Two Brothers Mattress. Come in and feel the Tempur-Pedic difference in all our 5 locally owned stores. Visit twobrothersmattress.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather forecast today. It's going to be hot, and it's going to be even hotter week. Highs in the upper 80s today, maybe 87. Friday, though, as high as 96 degrees. Right now, though, 71 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio. War in Iran.
You know, when we left on Friday, we were still wondering what was happening with respect to the war in Iran. And, of course, we've had a lot of discussions back and forth. Is it resolved? Is there a ceasefire in place? The United States has been engaged with this conflict for now, over 120 days, I think. And there have been various levels of ceasefires and agreements and whatever. Is the Strait of Hormuz opening? Is it going to close? Well, apparently there have been some significant developments just within the last 24 hours, and President Trump has announced that the United States and Iran have reached an agreement aimed at extending the ceasefire and opening the Strait of Hormuz. Of course, the devil's always in the details, and those details may not be forthcoming for another, 60 days?
At least. So Vice President J.D. Vance spoke to ABC News, called it a big win for America.
This is a big day for the American people, a big win for everybody who cares about basic peace and stability in the Middle East.
Yeah, and it also remains to be seen whether or not and to what extent Israel is involved in this. Seemingly right now, they're saying, well, this didn't come with our agreement, and they don't seem to be very, very excited about it. They seem to be actually sort of concerned about it. So, I mean, if we open the strait, to me, that's a significant step. Because there have been so many ships tied up, and we're just seeing them on TV right now, just a major fleet of ships that have been sitting there for months, and some of them have had some serious problems on board because they can't get anywhere. They can't open the strait immediately,
right?
Because it's still mined, and so they've got to go through there and sweep the mines, so it probably won't open at the soonest until it sounds like Friday of this week.
The agreement hasn't yet been signed, and that is expected to happen Friday, which is the day they expect the strait to be able to reopen. So I will say there's actually a lot of time between today and Friday, so we'll see what happens. But you are correct that Israel is not excited, and ABC News Chief Global Affairs Correspondent Martha Raddatz reported about that from Washington.
Former Israeli senior military intelligence officer Avner Vilan telling us that it was doubtful Prime Minister Netanyahu would support the deal.
Prime Minister Netanyahu would think it's a bad deal because it gives Iran a lifeline.
Israel's defense minister Katz says Israel will not withdraw from southern Lebanon and that Israeli defense forces will remain without any time limit.
It would seem that Israel and Lebanon would be important parties to this agreement, Israel especially, and so why they're not included or whether they're going to be included would be important, but Iran doesn't seem to feel like Israel's part of the agreement, although Iran is saying this has to include Israel, is my understanding of what the Iranians are saying.
I think it's super interesting. So, look, here's some words: a catastrophe, a bad deal, an agreement, as Martha just mentioned, that throws a lifeline to the murderous regime in Tehran. Those are some of Netanyahu's supporters. Those are the comments about this deal that they're hearing has been made. And it's interesting. Is this one where, like, now I wonder if the conflict has just been split, right? So are we saying, look, the U.S. and Iran are going to come to a deal and now Israel is going to be left on its own? I don't know, but it's interesting to me that Israel's like, this isn't a good deal. We don't agree with this deal. Netanyahu hasn't weighed in officially, but these are some of his supporters even saying this is not a good thing.
Lousy deal. And if we put it face to face or side by side, I guess, with the Obama-Iran agreement, there are some changes. It doesn't seem to be necessarily better than that agreement, although Trump was quick to get rid of the Obama agreement. I mean, he's touting this as much better, and maybe it is in the long run. We'll have to see. It has affected oil prices already. They're up to around $80 a barrel, so they're dropped.
Down.
So that would be a positive. Of course, we're also seeing and hearing that it could take years before the global oil market stabilizes. And not the least of which is because so many of the infrastructures have been destroyed and bombed during this time. That it's not a matter of just, hey, we're done, let's go back to normal the way it was 6 months ago.
Well, we know even from the beginning that we have talked with multiple economists who've told us that oil and gas prices will take months to go back to what we would consider pre-war levels. And one of the reasons is not just the infrastructure, but because oil is a future, is the way I understand it. So what they are buying for 3 months from now is today's price, right? So even 3 months from now, they're paying, well, what was it, 90 something a barrel a couple of days ago. Right. So I'm hopeful. I think it's great. I do have more information about this Israeli statement, though. So this is Netanyahu's Minister of National Security. His name is Itamar Ben-Gvir. He said Trump's agreement does not bind us. Israel is not subject to the United States, and we are an independent and sovereign country. So Israeli officials, including him, have been consistently defiant, it says, insisting they will not refrain from striking Hezbollah.
Ouch. Well, and simultaneously, and somewhat related, President Trump has arrived in France for the G7 summit. ABC's Karen Travers reports on that.
The president had put significant pressure on those G7 countries and European allies to get involved in the effort with the war against Iran and also to the effort to reopen the strait. But those countries rejected those calls from the president. The president will be coming to the region here to basically take a victory lap now to say that we got this deal and things are heading in the right direction to end the conflict.
And Trump has also indicated, at least to Axios, that Netanyahu, in Trump's opinion, quote, has no effing judgment. So,
ouch.
Yeah.
Friends no more. So one of the things, too, I think, is that the 60 days, so it's 60 days from the time they signed this deal, potentially on Friday. They'll have 60 days to resolve what they're going to do about Iran's stockpile of highly enriched uranium and its atomic program. Remember that was something that was negotiated in the 2015 nuclear deal, but then we withdrew from that, and now we're having to renegotiate that. And so we'll see what that looks like too. But what it seems like to me on the surface is the first deal that they have reached is that they're going to reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah.
And that the president today, I think it was today, it could have been yesterday, said there will be no tolls being placed on the strait so that it will be open and traffic can go through. And as you mentioned, they're going to take the next few days to clear the mines out of the strait.
Yeah, so it's sort of an agreement to agree, or a memorandum of understanding. It's not a binding agreement. Of course, nothing's binding yet because it has not even been signed. But mediator Pakistan said it would happen on Friday in Geneva. And like I said earlier, oil and gas prices could take months before they return to normal.
So, look, over the weekend, there were a couple of articles that were published about the Other Side Academy, and they were critical of some of their practices, including some of their labor practices practices, their rehabilitation practices. We're going to talk about the articles, and we're going to talk to the Other Side Academy when we come back.
There's no doubt about it. This is the time of year when we all start focusing on that perfectly grilled steak. Now, some of us are pretty good. Some of us are just okay at doing that ourselves in the backyard. If you're really looking for that perfection in steaks, it's Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. And now, a lot of graduation parties are going on, special events, birthdays, you name it. It's time for you to make that reservation at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Now, obviously, we talk about steaks and how wonderful they are there, but they have so much more. The seafood, the poultry dishes, the side dishes, the desserts, and it's served to perfection. We have 2 locations. There's Ruth's Chris Steakhouse in Hotel Park City, and also Ruth's Chris Steakhouse in the heart of downtown Salt Lake City at 275 Southwest Temple. It's the perfect steak, and it's waiting for you now at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
There's one choice for Congress in Utah's 3rd District, Celeste Malloy. Celeste Malloy has President Trump's complete and total endorsement. She fought alongside President Trump to secure the border, grow the economy, protect the Second Amendment, and deliver results for Utah families. Thanks to Trump-endorsed Celeste Malloy, Utah families are seeing massive tax savings, safer communities, and a country that's getting back on track. President Trump and Utah can count on Celeste Malloy to deliver solutions. She will never let you down. On June 23rd, vote for Celeste Malloy, the Trump-endorsed candidate. She has President Trump's
complete and total endorsement.
Paid for by Winning for Women Action Fund and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.wfwactionfund.com. Winning for Women Action Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
I'm Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox. Don't face the IRS alone.
I was self-employed, and I got behind on my taxes. And then 1 year became 2 years and 3 years, and $116,535.47 to be exact. It just became overwhelming. Finally, I went to another tax company, and they were more interested in how good they were than helping me. I heard about Jordan and talking to the other people who'd done and been in the same situations that I was in, and their tax problems seemed just like mine. And so I went to Jordan, and it was amazing. They were able to negotiate it down to $5,200, and life became wonderful to me.
Don't face the IRS alone. You need a tax attorney that's not afraid to fight for you. Visit endtaxworry.com to schedule your free consultation. That's endtaxworry.com.
I will be forever grateful.
For the ones who get it done, Grainger offers the professional-grade products you need to get the job done. With fast delivery you can depend on and access to technical product experts ready to help you meet any challenge. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
In the military, the mission was clear. You knew what to do. Now, the mission has changed. Stepping into civilian life isn't about finding a job. It's finding your purpose.
I wanted a career that would leverage the skills and discipline I gained in the military. IT just felt right.
My Computer Career offers class schedules that fit into your life and skills in high demand. Put your VA benefits to work. Visit mycomputercareer.edu/CWP to jumpstart your IT career today. An Elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
If you're struggling with your mortgage, there's a free government program that offers expert one-on-one advice about your mortgage options. Call 1-888-995-HOPE or visit makinghomeaffordable.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Treasury, HUD, and the Ad Council.
36 months, no interest financing. Also big savings on all new Bernina machines at Dave's Bernina in Provo and St. George. Incredible prices on trade-ins and demo machines while they last.
911, tell me exactly what happened.
My son and his wife and their 2 children haven't responded.
Susan Powell disappeared on a snowy morning in 2009.
I said, Josh, where are you? You need to get home.
And her husband will never be held accountable.
Your wife is missing, Josh.
Yeah, but
and you want to think about it for a couple of days?
I'd had this overwhelming feeling that he had done something to her already.
I'm Dave Cawley, host of the podcast
cold.
Then he starts making phone calls to Susan's phone.
Hello, Susan. We are on our way back.
It's the deepest of deep dives into this tragic tale of abuse.
Where was Josh when Susan disappeared?
I don't know.
Of one mother's desperate attempt to escape.
This is me, covering all my bases.
Help prevent it from happening again.
Our focus has and continues to be finding Susan.
Listen and learn by following Cold wherever you get your podcasts.
Inside Sources.
Well, there were a couple of really interesting articles over the weekend published that were criticizing the rehabilitative organization, the Other Side Academy, who I'm vaguely familiar with through my practice. These articles were critical over the labor and rehab practices of the group, citing the latter as intense and outdated.
So it is interesting to me, and we're referring to articles from both the Salt Lake Tribune and KUER. And the Salt Lake Tribune, I think, focused a lot on how people who are going through these programs, they're not paid for their labor, but they do not have to pay for room and board either, right? So it's kind of this back and forth. Should they be getting anything as far as payment goes? If they get tips, they have to turn the tips over to the organization. And then the other article focused more on the group. It's not even really therapy, but the group practices of peer accountability. And what they found, or at least the people that they talked to, said it's very, very intense, and it can involve long periods of being yelled at, right, by people who are your peers. And there's also some concerns with the people who are accepted into these programs. They are not allowed to take mental health medication, and they have to be in good physical health. And so I think for a lot of people who are in the unhoused population, we know that they struggle with mental health. We know that they struggle with addiction. And to say you can't be on those types of medications, I'm concerned about that.
Well, let's talk to the CEO of the Other Side Foundation, Tim Stay, who has joined us this morning. Tim, thank you for joining us this morning.
My pleasure. And can I say that last point is absolutely false. If people have mental health medications, we support that. We facilitate arrangements. At the village, we have a licensed LCSW on staff, and we have the majority of the people who are living in the village are currently on mental health medications. So that characterization is that we don't work with mental health issues. At the Academy, which is our sister organization to the village, we let it known up front that saying if you are, which is primarily focused on those who are in and out of the incarceration criminal justice system in battling addictions. If there are mental health issues, we're not a medical facility and we don't have the services to support them. And so that's known up front. And if they do need mental health and they fit the qualifications, then they are able to go to the village or other service providers who have those resources.
So it's with the Other Side Academy that they cannot be taking any mental health medications at all?
Yes, we're not a medical facility and we don't have medical services. And we think there's a place for people, a non-clinical approach that is effective for this population.
Can you tell us the difference between the two? Or actually, there's probably more than just two organizations associated with the Other Side.
Certainly. The Other Side Academy, we've been around since 2015, and we focus on those who've been in and out of the justice system. Our average student's been arrested 25 times. They've had mostly drug-related crimes. Most of them deal with addiction issues, and they have the opportunity to come to the Other Side Academy for a minimum of 30 months. And if they choose to, and about 45% do, choose to stay longer as they work on getting themselves. We then place 100%. We've been able to place 100% of our graduates into full-time employment in around 7 out of 10 of our graduates remain drug-free, crime-free, and employed after graduation. The Other Side Village is for those who've been chronically homeless. They, the majority of them have mental health challenges, and we go through a transitional program called the Other Side Prep School, where they work on learning the skills they need to live an independent life. And when they can show that, then they're allowed to move into the village, which is permanent housing, and that's based just off of Redwood Road on Indiana Avenue.
So if people in the Other Side Village, which is different than Other Side Academy, I understand that, if they have to go through the prep school, what's your dropout rate for that?
Around 8 out of 10 people who enter the prep school, it's a minimum of 9 months. About 8 out of 10 people go through the entire prep school and finish it. So about 80% stay in the prep school.
So can I just ask a follow-up? Where do they live during that time that they're doing the prep school and they're not eligible for the Other Side Village?
We provide the housing. We just opened a new facility on First South across, and we'll be able to house up to 100 people in this new facility at the prep school, getting people ready. You know, one of the challenges that we've seen is with this model of Housing First, we've put people into housing without giving them the skills to succeed once they're in housing. And so what we're doing, and it's free for them to attend the Other Side Prep School, and we're not taking any government money to fund the prep school. And they live in the prep school for 9 months or longer, gaining those skills necessary to live an independent life. And so far to date, about 89% of those who've moved into the village have remained permanently housed, drug-free, crime-free, and employed.
So can your residents at the prep school, are they able to take mental health medication?
Yes.
Okay.
Tell us, excuse me, go ahead. I was wondering about the work and labor requirements, or what's available there for your students and your clients.
Certainly. And, we probably prefer the term cooperative employment rather than unpaid labor, but we have a history of the unpaid labor as unpaid interns. We see that, corporations use that all the time. Nursing students, medical, clinical rotations. It's a established legal precedent. As long as it's voluntary and the individual understands that that's the arrangement, it requires that they can leave anytime, and the primary beneficiary has to be the participant. And we meet all of those requirements from a legal standpoint, and we're fully in compliant with the Federal Labor Standards Act. If someone doesn't like that arrangement, they don't have to come to the other side. If someone wants to gets into it and doesn't like it, they can leave. They're not imprisoned, or we don't have chains on the doors. They can leave anytime. And a good question is, why would 45% of our participants choose to stay longer in that relationship if they felt like they were being exploited? What they feel is that they're getting more benefit out of the relationship than they could if they were out in the workforce. We provide housing, we provide insurance, we provide access to medical care, dental care. We're helping them take care of their driving privileges and get them so that they can be driving and functioning, all those things that would keep someone from being able to get back into society and function.
All right. That was Tim Stay, CEO of the Other Side Foundation, joining us this morning. Thanks so much for your time this morning, Tim.
All right. Thank you. It was a pleasure to talk with you.
And when we come back after the break, coming up on Inside Sources, we're going to continue our coverage of America's 250th birthday, which is just about 3 weeks away.
Yeah, coming right up.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. The U.S. and Iran have reached an initial peace agreement extending the shaky ceasefire. Vice President J.D. Vance tells ABC News the agreement offers Iran two choices.
If they continue to try to rebuild their nuclear program, this deal ensures they will never have the resources in order to do that. On the other hand, if the Iranians are willing to give a long-term commitment, along with proper verification to giving up that nuclear weapon, we're willing to welcome them into the world economy, to lift some sanctions, and to turn over a new leaf in that relationship.
The deal will reportedly lead to the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. Here in Utah, a pair of BYU students ran a marathon on campus around one building.
College of Life Sciences was particularly lively last week when Sam Johnson and Kaylin Rudder decided to run the marathon. The BYU Universe reports there were stations along the building, one to sign up to run with them, and another to make signs and give out drinks. Professors with the department also helped out with their training, studying their running habits and how to maximize their abilities, since the building does have stairs on both sides. To complete a marathon, the two ran 99 laps around the 184,000 square foot building. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 624 points today. That's a full 1.25% to 51,827. The Nasdaq's up 2 3/4%, 709 points to 26,598. Coming up, it's going to be pretty warm today, but enjoy it. It's the last day of the 80s for the next 6 or 7 days. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 9:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
There's no doubt about it. It's always a great time to shop at NPS, which truly is a nice place to save with their 4 locations. 1 in Orem, we've got 1 in Layton, and 2 in Salt Lake. Anytime you'll save 20 to 70% at NPS. But right now, it's time to get into NPS because Father's Day is just around the corner. The summer months are here. It's time to get those power tools, buy a fire pit, great men's clothing. How about some golf clubs and other sports equipment, things that are fun for the summertime for the kids, even things for your lawn and garden. And then, of course, groceries, great prices, and that's very important right now. Terrific prices on groceries. And then when you're shopping the store, above and beyond the 20 to 70% off, you'll find additional savings. It's time for you to go in and shop for dear old Dad at NPS.
This year, Utahns are celebrating the 250th anniversary of our country, Utah style. Everything from Utah's red rock deserts and blue skies to our snowy peaks and canyons are worth celebrating. As America marks this historic anniversary, we invite you to honor the stories that ground us, the history of the people who came before us, and the places that shape us. Celebrating with Utah style means looking out for your neighbors, sharing a meal, working hard, dreaming, innovating, and finding connections with the people who make Utah, Utah. It's our land, our communities. It's our way of showing up for something bigger than ourselves. So raise a glass or a dirty soda and join us in celebrating our place in the American story. Find ways to celebrate and commemorate with your community this summer at america250.utah.gov.
Meet Matthew Preston. Inside his apartment, everything he holds dear is protected by Progressive's Renter's Insurance, like his laptop and a surprisingly valuable collection of baseball bobbleheads. Outside his apartment, his laptop is still protected, as are his bobbleheads, which he carries around with him for reasons no one knows. Renters, the limits of protection aren't just the 4 walls of your home. When you're in Progressive's Protection Zone, get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs to keep mixers, conveyors, and packaging equipment moving. With Grainger's vast selection of bearings, belts, and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Receive 4% cash back on cruises at UCCU.com. Let's check in with Cormac Bone.
We do have a little bit of delay in the right lane, southbound I-215's west belt approaching California Avenue. Looks like there was a little trouble getting off the freeway in that construction zone, but those delays are quickly working their way out. Eastbound on I-80, also that right lane, pretty heavy between Kimball Junction and the US 40 turnoff, but otherwise roadways looking really good all across the Wasatch Front. No delays on I-15 between Brigham City and Santaquin. Seeing cracked, curling, or missing shingles on your roof? Don't wait. Save big during S&S Roofing's huge summer sale. From a small repair to a full replacement, SNSRoofingUtah.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, hot week. That's an understatement. High of 87 today, 92 tomorrow, 91 Wednesday, 90 Thursday, Friday, upper 90s, close to 100 degrees. Right now it's 72 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
The semi-quincentennial.
Is that what you call it?
Is coming right up.
You looked
it
up.
I had to look it up.
Okay.
So
250 years.
It's half of 500, right? That's the quincentennial is 500, so 250.
Got it.
Right. So that's coming up. So one of the stories that I saw today, which I thought was really interesting, this is in the Washington Post, but it really has to do with a time capsule that we're putting together as a nation for the 250th anniversary.
Yeah, that's interesting because they're putting it together as a 250-year time capsule, meaning that it'll be opened in 2276.
I don't know.
250 years from now. Yeah, it'll be dug up in 250 years.
So one of the things that's interesting to me is what did individual states send? And one of the states sent a whalebone, right? That came from back east.
Yeah, it's a whale that's could potentially be extinct in 250 years. Right.
Yeah,
so
that's
maybe
right.
that bone has some significance.
That was Maine's submission. Arkansas sent a diamond, and Utah went all out. So I want to tell you some of the things that Utah sent. Utah sent 100 trading cards featuring notable Utah citizens, printed on cotton for durability. They sent granite fragments from the cornerstones of the state capitol and the Salt Lake City Temple. Excuse me. They sent 13 coins, including an 1896 U.S. silver dollar representing the year that Utah became a state.
Oh, okay.
Silver from Park City Mines, and a gold coin from the 1869 Transcontinental Railroad completion.
Wow.
They sent pins from the 2002 Olympic Games. They sent signatures and documents from the Utah Congressional Delegation, the Utah Legislature, the Utah Supreme Court, and a dozen prominent religious leaders. And then they sent some tribal and cultural items, including things that represented Utah's 8 sovereign tribal nations and old tickets from historic Utah amusement parks like Saltaire.
What about the green Jello? Did they think maybe that wouldn't...
Probably a pin. The Jello wouldn't last.
Wouldn't last 250
years.
So this is a 900-pound cylinder. They're sealing it shut.
It's huge.
So you've got 50 states that need to contribute. Plus, you've got to have a beefy enough cylinder that it'll withstand whatever's going to happen in the next 250 years, and then open it up again and look back on it. I think it's fun. There was actually sort of a commission set up to put this all together. I was hoping when I read the article about the time capsule that we were going to open one also that would have been planted 250 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yes, that would have been so cool.
That would have been really interesting.
But we can open one in 50 years because there was a time capsule that was buried in 1976, and there was one that was opened in 1976 that had been buried in 1876.
There you go. So every 100 years.
Every 100 years. So it's interesting because I'm looking at an Associated Press article, but anything that might degrade or metals that could have rusted over time was forbidden. So Maryland's submission of Old Bay seasoning, rejected.
Oh.
Green Jello would have been rejected.
I thought the cotton would have been a problem. You said that there's some playing cards or something made
that they
of cotton.
printed on cotton. I guess it doesn't degrade in the same way. So because this is interesting, there was Native American beaded artwork backed by elk hide. That was rejected, but it was accepted when they resubmitted it on a fabric background. So anyway, I thought that was fun. And here, I have to tell you this quote because they want to make it waterproof, right? They want to make sure that it's just that stuff isn't going to dry out, but not get wet either. And so one of the things that they say the capsule is going to be buried 10 feet underground, safe from temperature fluctuations or storm damage. And then here's the quote from one of the people in charge of the project. Philadelphia would have to be 6 feet underwater in order for this time capsule to even possibly take on water. And if Philly is 6 feet underwater, you've got way bigger problems.
That time capsule, nobody's going to care about that. Yeah, if we get in that much trouble in this country, that would be really bad.
Okay, so what else did you think was fun about that article?
I just thought it was interesting just to think about it. I mean, 250 years, nobody we know is going to be around. But
no.
But I thought it was interesting, and I would have liked to have just seen what the other states have put in. You mentioned some. Utah's was traditional Utah kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know the coins, the significance of the coins, but you mentioned one had a significant date.
There were two, yeah.
Yeah.
One for the year we became a state, and one for the year the Transcontinental Railroad was completed.
Oh, okay.
At least those two. I don't know what the other.
I didn't know what the others were.
You know what? Now that you've said that makes me curious. I bet there's a website where we can see every submission, and we'll have to go and look and report back maybe.
They probably gave each state a like you can't have your entire thing weigh more than 50 pounds or something like that.
I don't know.
900 is the.
They said they tried not to be very prescriptive, right? So that people could send, like Arkansas sent a diamond, right? But they've got the places you can go and dig and see what you can find and stuff there. So I thought that was interesting.
I think it's a really fun idea, a cool concept.
There's another article. This one was in the Deseret News, and this one is about the Freedom Plane, but it's spelled Plane because it is an airplane that is taking founding documents around the country ahead of the nation's big birthday. And so the Freedom Plane is going, in fact, for example, it's going to Denver, Colorado, and it did go to Denver, Colorado. 9 of the country's documents were available to the public. They're traveling on a big 737, but they've had copies of the Treaty of Paris, for example. Not copies, they've had the original documents. Ending the Revolutionary War, that was signed September 3rd, 1783. Remember, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin were there to help capture that. They have William Stone's engraving of the Declaration of Independence from 1823, the Articles of Association from 1774, Senate markups showing revisions to the Bill of Rights in 1789. So
these are priceless.
I mean, and so interesting because the political process is still so similar.
Right.
They had to go through a markup process like, we're going to strike that language. We're going to add this language. We're going to change it in this way. It's like it was still the same.
Right. Yeah. How cool is that? Just to see those, just to appreciate them. I mean, is it landing in every state?
No, it's not. It's going to just a handful of states, but really it's quite cool. And there are documents that came from the National Archives in D.C. It was inspired, which is interesting, by the Freedom Train, which was a train that went around the country in the 40s and then again in the 70s. And so
Plane.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
there's the play on words, the Freedom Train, Freedom Plane. Yes, exactly. So coming up a little later in our show, actually, we're going to have an opportunity to talk to somebody who also wrote an article about the America 250, but specifically about equality. Why promise equality if it wasn't true? So this article is really good. We're going to talk about that one.
Yeah, there's a lot to do, and we'll talk about it a lot more in the weeks to come.
Next few
weeks.
The
250th celebration on the 4th of July of 2026 is so big and so significant that I don't think it could be understated. I remember the 200th anniversary.
I know. So do I. We're both old.
I was not too young then, but not too young not to
It was
remember
really fun.
But yeah, it was fun.
You would think that I could remember what we wore, and I'm sure the answer is red, white, and blue, but I really don't. I really don't remember what outfits my parents picked for all of us. So, look, we're still talking about elections, and speaking of America 250. But we have a big week here on Inside Sources, and we're going to be talking to and about candidates running for office across the state because primaries are coming right up. We're going to talk about your voice, your vote when we come back after the break.
This summer, celebrate America 250 somewhere truly unforgettable. Bryce Canyon. Stay at Ruby's Inn, the closest lodging to the park, where you'll enjoy comfortable rooms, free hot breakfast, an indoor pool, and easy access to hiking, horseback riding, and gorgeous views. And mark your calendar for July 10th, when the Utah Symphony performs a free concert on the rim of Bryce Canyon, honoring 250 years of America in one of the most spectacular settings on Earth. Make it a summer to remember at Ruby's Inn, where you'll get more Bryce for your buck. Plus, enter to win the ultimate getaway, 2 nights at Ruby's Inn and a $500 gift card for dining and activities. Celebrate America. Experience Bryce Canyon. Plan your trip now at ruby'sinn.com. That's ruby'sinn.com.
There's nothing like getting outside, moving, and enjoying time with friends. Utah offers endless ways to get outdoors and stay active. Pickleball, hiking, biking, and more. Staying healthy is fun if you do it safely. Intermountain Health recommends taking time to stretch, warm up, stay hydrated, and pace yourself. These small steps keep activities safe and enjoyable for everyone. Because when you make health and safety part of every activity, you're taking care of what matters most: your life, your health.
Snapshot from Progressive wasn't created for just anybody. Oh no, we made it for you. Gradual breakers. You keep your eyes on the road, so you've seen it all. As long as it all happened directly in front of you, like a Swedish masseuse, your foot knows exactly the right amount of pressure to apply to the brake. That's why your passengers feel totally relaxed with you behind the wheel and occasionally super sleepy. With Snapshot, safe drivers like you get personalized rates based on your driving habits. Sign up today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And right now, new mattresses start at $1,500 during our 4th of July sale. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number. To a good life sleep.
When it's hot like this, air conditioners struggle to keep up. Parts are under more stress, and sometimes those parts fail. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and no one helps more homeowners maintain and repair their air conditioners than Any Hour Services. As a matter of fact, last year, over 32,000 homeowners called Any Hour Services for help maintaining and repairing their systems. Any Hour Services has over 100 HVAC technicians to help with everything from maintenance, repair, to installing a new system. This summer, there'll be a lot of people told they need to replace their air conditioner, and they'll wonder, do I really need to? If you're told you need to replace your air conditioner and you still have questions, Any Hour Services can give you a second opinion and let you know what options are available. Maybe it just needs a little maintenance or a small repair. Maybe it does need to be replaced, but if you don't feel good about being told you need to replace your air conditioner, don't ignore those feelings. Call Any Hour Services for help with air conditioner maintenance, repair, or to schedule a free second opinion. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Did you really think Pure Talk was just going to sit back and watch America turn 250 years old without doing something awesome to celebrate? Of course not. That's why they're raising $250,000 for America's Warrior Partnership by the end of July. America's Warrior Partnership is on the front line of preventing veteran suicide. They've had extraordinary success, and here's how you can help. When you switch your cell phone service to Pure Talk this month, you'll be invited to round up to support America's Warrior Partnership. No pressure, but if you do, Pure Talk will match your donation dollar for dollar. And to further celebrate 250 years of our extraordinary democratic republic, Pure Talk is offering unlimited talk, text, and data for just $34.99 a month. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe. That's pound 250, say Mike Rowe. And happy birthday to us.
Everything to my back is dark.
High in the alpine wilderness.
Really ugly clouds coming over from the north.
A place
the ridgeline is imposing, the escarpments, the drops.
Where survival,
it's dark now, I have nothing,
is never certain. This is not good. My name's Dave Cawley, and I'm the host of a podcast called Uinta Triangle. It's about the disappearance of an Australian hiker named Eric.
Our conclusion and that of the sheriff is that the mountains have decided to keep him.
Come retrace Eric's footprints with me.
You have done this walk too, but this is your backyard. Did he really make a wrong turn, or did he decide that he was done?
He is not the first or last person to vanish in this remote region.
It was haunting to see the photos. I mean, really.
Find and follow the podcast series Uinta Triangle. That's Uinta, spelled U-I-N-T-A, Triangle, wherever you get your podcasts. All episodes out now.
The new Inside Sources.
Well, we are 8 days away from Utah's primary election season, and that kicks off next Tuesday. And so we thought what we'd do for the next few days on Inside Sources is talk with some of the candidates that have important races that will be heard during these primary elections next week.
Yeah, so we're kind of in the season already, but primary election day is next Tuesday, ends at 8 p.m. And if you remember, our listeners remember, we've talked about this. County clerks have to have your ballot by 8 p.m. on election day. You cannot mail it late. It has to be in their hands by 8 p.m. on election day. But one of the things that I thought would be interesting and fun is to really talk about and two, the candidates in congressional races that have primaries. So we're starting today by talking to all four candidates who are the Democrats in the race for Congressional District 1.
And we're intentionally not interviewing the Republican because he does not have a primary.
There's no primary.
That will occur between now and the general election. So if you feel like your candidate's not being interviewed, the same will occur with the 2nd and 3rd districts over the next couple of days. But today we're interviewing only those that have a primary election next week. And in Utah's first congressional district, that includes 4 Democrats. I attended the state Democratic convention. It was really raucous. It was very exciting. And to think that 4 people came out of that, either through signatures or whatever process they got to, that's going to be an interesting race because there are 4.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. And for me as a Republican in Utah for a very long time, I haven't seen very many competitive Democratic races, certainly not on the congressional level. I have seen them occasionally on the state level because there are places that are kind of Democratic strongholds in Salt Lake County. But I think it's really interesting. And for you who've been more involved in Democratic Party politics, what is it that is, what do you think what impact is this going to have on turnout, voter turnout, do you think?
Well, certainly in the first congressional district, there will be a lot. I think there are a lot of Democrats. And by the way, it's not like the Republicans where you have to be a registered Republican to vote. So it's more of an open process. I think we'll have a lot showing up for that. And especially when there's not a Republican in the race, maybe some would-be Republicans might choose to participate in that.
And they can't vote in both, right? So to be clear, they can't vote in a Republican primary and a Democratic primary. You have to pick. But yeah, you're right.
But there is no Republican primary, is my point.
Not for Congress,
right,
but maybe for other seats.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Especially in that district, there absolutely will be.
Yeah.
Yes, good point.
Yeah, I think the turnout, at least in that congressional district, will probably be pretty decent. So primary elections typically have a lower turnout than the general. Sure. Midterms have a lower turnout than presidential years. But I think from what I've seen is there's a lot of buzz and excitement among Democratic voters for CD1 because it seems fairly likely, but not a sure thing, that a Democrat would be elected in the end. And I think I heard, maybe we can ask him, but I think I heard Ben McAdams say that this district, the way it's drawn, actually has more registered Republicans than it does registered Democrats. And then it has a lot of people who are unaffiliated with any party.
Right. And it will be an exciting race. Of course, the Democrats haven't had an exciting congressional race in years, at least one that would be seen as competitive. I mean, we've all jumped in. I've been in my own race for the Attorney General. But you realize that the odds are very squarely against you. This is a year when Democrats have a chance of winning, especially that particular district. And so when that, and this is all the result of the redistricting, let's call it what it is, debacle or nightmare or problem or concern. I don't know what you want to say. It is what it is. And it is certainly that district is now set in stone, at least for this period. So Democrats jumped in. I think Ben McAdams jumped in very quickly, and it was interesting to see other names coming in. We're going to interview all 4 of them today, which I think is really exciting. But it was no surprise that there would be some prominent Democrats jumping into that race.
Do you remember how many jumped in originally? I know we're down to 4, but there were maybe like 11.
Yeah, there were certainly others.
Quite a few.
I remember Derek Kitchen.
Kathleen Reeby.
Yeah.
But there were a number of others as well. So that's today. We're talking with all 4 candidates, and 3 of them are going to be in studio with us, which is really fun. And then tomorrow, we're talking with congressional district Republican candidates. We're talking with the 2 of them. And then on Wednesday, we're talking with 3rd congressional district candidates, Republican, where there's a primary.
Yeah, and the 4th district has no primary. Either side, right.
Yeah.
But we are going to talk about some of the other races that have interesting primaries, including Salt Lake County, including some of the state legislative and Senate districts that have some competitive primaries, which you wouldn't have expected. I mean, it's an exciting
county commission races in Utah County, at least.
Right. Yes, a time of year, and people have jumped in ways that you wouldn't have expected. I think there's a competitive race for example, Salt Lake District Attorney, even among the Democrats, which we haven't had before.
That is unusual, right? It feels like, right?
Right, and
Box Elder County Commission has a race, which I would have said before the data center issue that probably the 2 incumbents who are up for election, that they probably didn't face a serious challenge to, staying in office. Now, I don't know, right? That race we'll talk about more on Thursday, but I do think that that's an interesting one because they could lose their seats.
So have you received your ballot already?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've received it, filled it out, and turned it back in.
Okay, so I didn't receive one, which tells me that in my particular part of the state, there are no Democratic primaries.
There are no primaries for you.
So yeah, and I'm in what is the 2nd congressional district. Of course, Blake Moore has a challenger in the Republican side.
Yeah.
But as a registered Democrat, I didn't get a ballot, which meant I don't think there's a primary in mine.
Right, and I think for some listeners, if you're worried about not getting a ballot, 1, you may not have a primary, but 2, if you're concerned, you can look on the state's website. I think it's elections.utah.gov, or you can contact your county clerk's office and say, hey, was I supposed to be getting a ballot because I didn't get one?
I think it's interesting also what we're going to talk about in the next 2 days, in that, and maybe it's not as rare as I think it is, both Celeste Malloy and I just mentioned his name,
Blake Moore have
challengers.
Yeah,
have challenges within their own party that have gotten to this point.
Mm-hmm.
You might have expected they wouldn't get past the convention. Maybe I'm just naive, but I just don't recall. I mean, Celeste has certainly had a challenger in the past.
They both have actually had primary challengers.
Okay.
Blake's been there longer,
right.
But Celeste, you remember, she was. They had to have a special election because Chris Stewart stepped down. And so they had a special election. She had a challenger then, and then she had to immediately go into a regular race, had a challenger then with the primary, and it was a really strong challenge. In fact, that race was very, very close.
Yeah.
And this time, what's interesting to me, and we'll talk about this more tomorrow, is she had a challenge from Phil Lyman, who's been quite popular with some segments of the delegate base especially, but she beat him at convention.
Yeah, and he's also been seen as an ally of Donald Trump. But
she got Trump's endorsement.
She's touting the Trump endorsement every way she can.
So it's really interesting, and all of our conversations are available as podcast episodes anywhere you can find your podcast, but later the same day. So today's will be available later this afternoon. Tomorrow's will be available tomorrow. All of those things. So we're really excited about this.
I'm interested in your take on a couple of legislative races, including President Adams' race, including Fia jumping in against, is it Dan
McKay?
Yeah. So some prominent incumbents that have challengers, that have interesting challenges, and where those are and why they're being taken on, especially at this time. I think it'll be fun to talk about those, and I'll be interested to watch election night next week to see who comes out of that.
We're doing a special Inside Sources on election night from 7 to 9. We'll be back in studio, you and I.
Oh, that'll be fun next
talking
Tuesday.
Talking about the races, the lead up, what we're seeing, for turnout during the day. And then, of course, once we hit 8 o'clock, we'll start talking about results.
And we should be getting some results as early as 8
That's
o'clock,
right.
especially with the mail-in ballots having to be in by a certain time.
That's right.
We won't get final results on very many races, but we'll get results that are significant enough that we may know who the presumptive winner will be.
I think one of the things that does change with this have to have the mail-in is we will know them sooner than we have in the past.
All right, well, let's kick off our next hour with the 4 candidates for Utah's 1st Congressional District. We'll start after the break with Nate Bluen.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. The University of Utah is offering a minor degree in artificial intelligence. Undergraduate Director of Information Systems Chong Oh says current and future employers expect job applicants to know how to navigate AI.
Is how to use AI responsibly and to use AI in bringing value to the organization.
He says the degree will be an asset to students because there will be a big gap between people who don't know how to use AI and those who do. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The U.S. and Iran have reached an initial peace agreement, which extends the ceasefire for 2 months. Vice President J.D. Vance tells ABC News Tehran is not receiving immediate sanction relief or money when the deal is formally signed on Friday.
We already signed the deal digitally yesterday, and there's been no money released, and that won't change.
The deal will also reopen the Strait of Hormuz to all commercial shipping. A lot of people will be watching gas prices now that President Trump has announced a deal with Iran. Utah's average price this morning for a gallon of regular gas is $4.27. That's down 14 cents from a week ago. The national average, $4.06 a gallon. Your money at this moment, the Dow up 700 points now to 51,907. The NASDAQ up 769 points, almost 3% to 26,658. Coming up, we got a hot week ahead. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
How will we ever defeat the British?
By remembering what we're fighting for. General. A country of our own. That will one day celebrate 250 years. How will we celebrate, sir? By going to Strong Volkswagen, where every vehicle is a dime.
A dime, sir?
Yes, 1 dime down at Strong Volkswagen. Hear, hear! With great price reductions on 250 vehicles.
It sounds glorious, sir.
Oh, it is. Lease new 2026 Jetta S, just $235 a month, $235. All-wheel drive Atlas, just $432 a month. And you get a lifetime warranty. Lifetime. And financing, sir? Those with a job and a dime shall drive away.
1 dime down.
The 250 sales event.
Save thousands with event pricing on 250 vehicles.
At Strong Volkswagen. For over 70 years, Strong Volkswagen.
Located downtown, strongvw.com.
Strongvw.com.
And no tax, right, sir?
Well, For details, call 801-596-2200.
Trying to make sense of the markets? Looking to diversify out of all the craziness? Thinking about tangible assets like precious metals? Listen to The Gold Show with Walt Phillips right here on KSL at 3 p.m. Sunday afternoons. Stay up to date on retirement trends, how the IRA rollover process works, and why investors are turning to physical gold. Walt is a national talk show host with decades of experience in the markets. Tune in for Walt's Insights and The Gold Show this Sunday afternoon at 3.
The Children's Center Utah provides a unique service in our communities by meeting the needs of very young children and their caregivers. Here's a Little Minds Big Hope message from Dr. Kyle Smith, the Children's Center Utah's child and adolescent psychiatrist.
Did you know picky eating isn't always about food? It can be a child's way of responding to stress, anxiety, or change. For young children, emotions show up in everyday routines like meals. Find out more at childrencenterutah.org.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Improve cash flow with a home equity line of credit. Let's go back to the traffic center. Cormac Bowe?
We don't have any accidents, we don't have any delays on I-15 between Provo and Salt Lake, but there are a couple of accidents. First is on southbound I-15 just after 90th South. They're in between the off-ramp and main flow and out of traffic, so no delays there. We also have an accident southbound I-15 at near 146 South at the point of the mountain. They're also out of traffic and in the right shoulder, and it looks like we do have some pretty heavy delays on southbound I-15 in Davis County. This is approaching 200 north in Kaysville. It might be a fresh crash there. Weathers Construction creates stunning functional kitchen remodels fast. Call 801-548-8409. Weathers Construction. Build your space better. Cormac Bowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
ASL weather, we're looking at a high of 87 degrees today. Then we jump to 92 tomorrow and stay in the 90s through Saturday. It should be breezy on both Tuesday and Wednesday. Right now it's sunny and 73 degrees. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, as promised, we're going to be speaking with the 4 candidates, the 4 Democrats heading into the primaries next week for Utah's 1st congressional district, which is a very competitive district and should be a very competitive district for Democrats in the general election in November.
Yeah, that's right. And we're starting our visits with all of them with Utah State Senator Nate Bluin. Thanks for joining us today, Senator Bluin.
Thank you, guys.
Let me just start with the first question. Give me your 30-second pitch to voters in Congressional District 1.
Yeah, we got to unrig the system for working people. We have so much money flooding into politics, including in this race, trying to buy a system that is not working for most people. And I've got a track record of actually standing up against the supermajority, of standing up against the big moneyed interests that are taking over our politics in the state Senate. And I think to get to things like affordable housing, to get to an increase in the minimum wage like we need, we got to get big money out of politics because those interests shape the direction that our system heads in. And it is not working for people. I hear that every day while I'm out knocking doors, while I'm talking to voters or constituents. And so that's my commitment, is to fight back against the millions that are being flooded into this race to boost Ben McAdams.
Nate, it seems like when we hear about votes that are happening right now in Congress, it's very much along party lines. And I'm just wondering, based on your experience with in Utah and with our senator here, how do you intend to work with the other side? How do you intend to work with Republicans if you get elected?
Yeah, I mean, look, there are a few issues where I think there's common ground. One of the ones I like to talk about is geothermal energy, where we've seen some movement in recent weeks from both Republicans and Democrats willing to work on a clean energy technology that can tap into oil and gas employees and bring them into a space that's more productive. That being said, I think what we need right now is a Democratic Party that is willing to fight back against the overreaches that we've seen from Republicans in recent years. We've had a party with politicians like Ben McAdams that are just preserving the status quo, that are continuing to do things the same way they've always been done because they're beholden to these big corporate interests. And that is certainly true of every other member of Utah's delegation, all of the Republicans, the 5 of them, the three in the House and the 2 senators. And I look at this similarly to how I've looked at my role in the state Senate, which is to stand up against those sorts of folks and, to work on things where there's common ground, but not to start off with an idea of compromise, to start off from a position of strength, to push for Medicare for all, to push for a higher minimum wage. And I think compromise and working across the aisle is a means to an end, but it is not it's not the goal for me.
So you've had a couple of polls that you commissioned yourself, and it shows you in second place behind Ben McAdams. What is your plan, if you can share with our listeners, to make up the gap between you and former Congressman McAdams?
It's continuing to work hard every single day. I mean, we've got 8 days left, and we're in a position where I think we're the only other campaign that's actually out there talking to voters as far as TV and digital ads and that sort of thing goes. And, that's where people unfortunately get so much of their information. And, I wish we had 10,000 volunteers who are out there talking to voters every day. We've got hundreds, right? And we're knocking hundreds of doors every single day. But the reality is we can't reach as many people as Ben McAdams can with all of the spending that's coming into this race, the mailers that people are getting flooded with. So, we've got a strong second place as far as fundraising and our ability to get our message out there. We've got strong polling results that show if the progressives can get together and take this on, that we will be victorious. But right now, it's certainly a concern that people have some of these other options that I think are great people and have run great campaigns, but have not built the track record or the platform to be able to win this race. And that has always been my goal, because I think we deserve a real progressive, someone with the backing of Bernie Sanders, like I've got, who has won wide majorities in this district before.
So quick question is kind of a related. If you were to win the primary, how do you appeal to voters in the general election, especially when there's, at least as I understand the makeup of the congressional district, a large number of unaffiliated, which means they could vote either Republican or Democrat. How do you appeal to them?
I think people are sick of the status quo, and the status quo in Utah is Republicans. And we're going to talk about things in a different way. I'm focused on these widespread populist economic issues of trying to make sure that everyone has health care, of trying to increase Utah's minimum wage of $7.25 because politicians like Ben McAdams have voted against increasing the minimum wage before. That is ridiculous, and that appeals to, I think, a broad majority of people. When we talk about foreign wars and genocide in Gaza and ending the conflict overseas, the military-industrial complex that is dumping so much money into our politics and supporting my opponent and the Republicans in Utah, people are sick and tired of that. They'd rather see investments in our schools, in our roads, in our hospitals here in America, rather than continuing to murder and destroy overseas. And today is a great day to talk about that, right? As Trump is giving away billions to Iran for a stupid war that Ben McAdams very well may have supported, because he has taken votes to that effect in the past.
Yeah, and maybe just to follow up on that same question, Nate, maybe you've sort of answered it, but Holly always steals my questions.
Sorry.
If you prevail in next Tuesday's primary, you will probably be seen as the most, you call yourself a real progressive, maybe the most progressive of the Democratic candidates. But then you've got to face the general election in November. And what can you tell us Democrats is some assurance that you're going to be a viable candidate in November if you come out of this on Tuesday as the progressive Democratic candidate?
Yeah, we've got the biggest coalition built of any candidate in this race on labor, on national progressive organizations and elected officials that can come in and help us win this race. This is a seat that Kamala Harris would have won by 24 points. That is generally considered a very safe Democratic seat. You could, put a rock in this seat and put a D by its name, and I think it would carry the district. So I've heard lots of concerns about electability of different candidates, of what this district actually looks like, and the reality is it's a safe Democratic seat. The ratings, folks that look at these districts across the country have put this into that position, and so certainly maybe the messaging changes a little bit, or some of these other perspectives change. But as far as what we're running on, I don't think it's, crazy stuff to talk about trying to get people health care and a better job and protections at work, and to make sure their kids can go to a safe school and get childcare and to purchase a home. Those are to me kitchen table issues that we're going to really hammer on, like we already have been.
So one last question, Senator. If you make it back to Congress, and you've already talked kind of broadly about the issues you want to look at, what's a specific piece of legislation you would want to start working on and try to get passed?
Something to deal with money in politics and or gerrymandering. So, those are the two things I think that really are pervasive, that shape our politics in a destructive way, that stop us from getting to these other pieces of saving the Great Salt Lake, of getting Medicare for all. I think we need to work on those structural issues first, because I don't see us with all of the money in politics, with all of the big corporations seeking tax loopholes that want to keep polluting our environment, that are hell-bent on keeping us divided. I think we won't get there until we get big money out of politics and we ban gerrymandering like we've done here in Utah. We need to do something similar at the federal level so that we can keep states from literally just being entirely red or blue like we've seen here in Utah. It's so divisive. It's so nonsensical. It's terrible for our country. And so I really feel like those are the core things that we need to do in order to get to the cost of living, the daily life issues that people are struggling with right now.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Senator Nate Bluin, in the race for Democratic nominee in CD1 next Tuesday. Next, we're going to have a discussion with candidate Michael Farrell. Stay tuned.
Murphy's Law says that if your air conditioner is going to break down this summer, it's going to be when you least expect it and at the worst possible time. And for a lot of homeowners, the fear isn't just the breakdown. It's worrying about what happens next. Is this going to cost a fortune? Am I going to be pressured into replacing it? Can somebody just help me figure out what's wrong? At Any Hour Services, that's exactly what we're here for. Maybe your system just needs maintenance to help prevent breakdowns before they happen. Maybe a part failed and a simple repair gets you back up and running quickly. Or maybe your system's getting older, repairs are adding up, and you think replacing it makes more sense. Whatever the situation, we'll walk you through your options, answer your questions, and make sure you have the information you need to make the decision that's right for your home and your budget. Maintenance, repair, or replacement, you choose what's right for you. That's how Any Hour Services works. Options, not pressure. Call Any Hour Services next time you need help with your air conditioner. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Let me ask you a question. You have a best friend? How big would it shock you if somebody told you that your best friend just killed somebody?
911, what's your emergency? Someone on the other line said they kidnapped my son and they're demanding $500,000.
I've asked myself so many times, what in the world happened?
Ransom is available now. Listen at ransompodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
We're here in studio with Sally Dietlein, co-founder with her husband Mark Dietlein of Hell Center Theater. Thanks for joining us today.
How are you?
We're great. It's nice to have you in the studio with us.
It's so fun to be here because we're so excited. We've got so many things to talk about. We've got shows that are currently running, and then we've got a season ticket for 2027 that just started on sale. And so lots of fun. Right now, we're playing My Fair Lady on the center stage, which is just bonkers. You know, that center stage is the most technological stage in the world for a live stage.
Wow.
And it's right here in Utah.
How many stages do you have?
We have 3.
Wow.
Oh, I thought it was just 2.
We have 3 now because the Miller Family Stage just came
into
action
there
at
you
the top
go.
of the year.
So I'm familiar with My Fair Lady, but I wondered if you could tell us a little bit about the other show that's playing right now.
Harmony, oh my glory. You've got to see it. So 20 years ago, Barry Manilow and Bruce Sussman found out about a story about 6 men who in the 1920s became the most amazing singers and entertainers out of Germany.
Wow.
And they did 12 movies. They did a whole bunch of records, and they became just the talk of Europe, came over to the U.S., were raving fans over here. Everybody loved them. And they got homesick and went home. By 1935, they were never heard from again.
Oh, wow.
And so the story, if you think about the time period and what was going on in Germany at the time period, that gives you a hint. But the best music you could ever imagine, and these people, this story, we've got people who are so emotionally taken by this, they can hardly drop it. They're coming back. So make sure you don't miss Harmony.
Well, Andy Farnsworth told me specifically that I needed to go see it because of that emotional response you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Super impactful.
Yes, especially right now before our 250th.
Yeah.
There are some things worth fighting for.
Hey, do you mind sticking around with this?
I would love that.
All right, we're going to have you back in just a few minutes.
Perfect.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $3 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
911. Tell me exactly what happened.
My son and his wife and their 2 children haven't responded.
Susan Powell disappeared on a snowy morning in 2009.
Your wife is missing, Josh.
Yeah, but I've already...
And you want to think about it for a couple of days?
The podcast, Cold, has gone deep on these kinds of stories.
I'd had this overwhelming feeling that he had done something to her already.
Clearly, something happened on that couch because he cleaned it.
Find and follow Cold wherever you get your podcasts.
If you talk and they will hear you.
Why are we getting killed like this?
Kyle's not here. Got caught drinking beer in the park a couple of nights ago.
Really?
Yeah. 0 tolerance. He's out for the season.
Harsh.
Hey, he knew not to drink. We've made that clear to all of our kids, right?
No, not really.
Bill, if we don't tell them what we expect and why they shouldn't drink, how are they going to know?
Talk. They hear you. For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Inside Sources.
Well, we're back, and now we're joined by Michael Farrell, a tax attorney running for office in Congressional District 1. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Of course, thanks you.
Always nice to have a fellow attorney in the booth to talk to us. So.
Hey, we need more attorneys.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, okay, like the percentage of attorneys in elected office is pretty high. I'll just say that. So,
hey, why don't snakes bite attorneys?
I don't know.
Professional courtesy.
Okay. We're going to talk about dad jokes later in this today. Look, I wanted to ask you, can you give us your 30-second pitch on why you're running?
Yeah. So it's going to be hard to do 30 seconds. So I have wanted to be in public service since I was 21. My mother got sick, and she was a waitress. She had no money, terrible insurance, and she lost that insurance after being in the hospital for 5 days. And we left that hospital with $150,000. Do I lean in?
Yeah.
Sorry. She lost her insurance, and we left that hospital with a $150,000 bill and 6 months to live for her.
Wow.
And I'm 21, and I'm an economics major. I at that point am planning on probably being an accountant or something. I'm a tax attorney, so it's not like that wildly different now. But I'm 21, and I think, how are these the legal systems that we have, and what can I do about it? Again, I'm a 21-year-old, shaking my fist against the clouds. But I think to myself, I need to get in public service so I can change these. This is the legal system we have. It's, in my opinion, an evil, immoral system that we're the richest country on the planet Earth in history, and we let people go into medical bankruptcy. And she avoided medical bankruptcy by dying.
Wow.
That's an insane trade-off, obviously, and what was being done about it. It was 2009, Obama had been elected, the Affordable Care Act is about to be passed, and it's still something that is crushing people's lives. So I'm an attorney. I've been an attorney for 12 years. I want to get in there, and I want to use the knowledge that I've gained as a tax attorney to change these broken systems. Broken systems, take a shot if you heard that one before. But change these broken systems and actually help people. Like, what is the point of being in public service if you're not making people's lives more affordable, if you're not driving down the cost of healthcare, housing, education? So I want to get in there. I look at people in D.C. who I don't think you've ever, a lot of them, ever done anything. I know, generalizations. But I want to get in there and put my knowledge to use and help people out. And then I want to get out of there and I want to get back to my life because I do not want to be a career politician.
Michael, a lot of people think of the broken system as being a congressional vote which is all Republican on voting yay and all Democrat voting nay. And it seems like that's what we see so often. Yeah. What do you intend to do? How would you work with Republicans if you certainly you're going to be, well, almost certainly you're going to be with some Utah Republican representatives?
Yeah, I mean, that is an excellent point. And I've told people, obviously I support universal healthcare, single payer healthcare. We don't have the votes for it. Like progressive Democrats in Congress have never had the votes to get universal healthcare through. So it's not like we're trending closer to having, 218 progressive Democrats in there. So you have to be able to get in there and build coalitions, work across the aisle with folks. As an attorney, I'm a transactional attorney. I'm constantly getting people to agree to things that they don't want to agree to, that is not in their best interest, but it's getting half of a loaf or something like that. And you have to know how to build those coalitions. Some of my opponents in this race, I'm not going to say names, but I don't think they know how to build winning coalitions. You have to be able to do that if you're going to want to advance any of these, more progressive coded policy goals. So it cannot be, hey, I'm going to rally 217 other Democrats and we're going to get single payer healthcare passed. That's just not going to happen. But if I can reach across the aisle to more moderate Republicans and say, hey, you might not like the coding on this, the messaging on this, that it's government takeover of healthcare or whatever, you're going to save your constituents a lot of money. That at the end of the day, you can say to them, you delivered for them on saving money on how much they're spending on healthcare. That should be a win for you. That hopefully is enough to have you come along and join my team. And I think that is the kind of we need to build coalitions with Democrats and Republicans because frankly, people are tired. I'm using other cliches. People are sick and tired though of just seeing Democrats vote with only Democratic policies and Republicans only vote on Republican policies. That's exhausting. Politics should not be a team sport where one team wins absolutely and one team is crushed absolutely. We have to build bridges. Gosh, I sound so cliched here, but we have to be able to do that. Otherwise, it's just blood sport.
Yeah.
Michael, I have a question about what made you want to jump to Congress for your first entry into politics?
I just figured an easy one, do Congress first. I figured 2 years from now, maybe president.
Okay, well, you're funny. Okay.
Yeah, president, and then the Pope in a couple of years. Easy races. For me, it really is because the two biggest things that I want to change are tax policy and healthcare policy. And those are realistically only things that you can change at a monumental scale at the federal level. And it was also partially, I looked at who else was in the race. I mentioned earlier before we jumped on, my wife's my campaign manager. Our team, me and my wife, we're running the show mostly by, we have some volunteers, we have some staff,
Sure.
but we are doing, and we have a sleep tracker bed that is concerned about our well-being. But
That's
we
funny.
talked about it and we jumped in early March, which was, we were by far the latest entrant into this race. But I looked at who else was in it, and Ben McAdams was the only guy in there that I thought he's gotten some stuff passed, and I thought he was a little bit too I thought he's too moderate for this district. The other folks in the race, I thought, I don't think they're going to be able to get it done. And I wanted to throw my hat in the ring. I was going to say hold my beer, but but hold my beer, jump into the race. And I'm not. This is not a stepping stone. I'm not waiting my turn. Other cliched expressions, but it's because healthcare policy and tax policy are the things that I think can change people's lives so dramatically for the better. And I can only really do that at the federal level.
I think earlier you mentioned jump in, jump out. Does that mean you would commit right now to some limitation on the number of terms you'd want to serve?
Oh, absolutely. I think I would push for term limits if in Congress as well, because I don't want to be the only, let's say I'm the only effective member of Congress. I don't want to take myself out, but I think we need term limits in Congress. I look at people like Chuck Grassley out of Iowa. I look at, our former Orrin Hatch from Utah. And it's you're there for too long. You lose sight of the people that you're supposed to be serving. And at that point, you're just serving yourself. You can't be there for decades. And both sides of the, Joe Biden was in office for way too long, Senate and presidency. But I would push for term limits. I don't have the exact number here, but I would say 12 years is probably, and I'm just doing that because 12 years, 2 terms for Senate,
Sure,
6 years for House. But something like that where you're not in D.C., losing sight of what's the actual goal serving people. If we are paying your salary for too long, I think you've lost sight of what the actual goal is helping people and delivering real results. And if you can't get it done after a certain point in time, I think you probably aren't going to be able to get it done.
So if you were to win on Tuesday, how do you reach voters then between Tuesday and the general election? Will you be up against a 27-year-old Republican?
Wow, shit. 38 in August. But I think it'd be messaging to folks, communicating with them, hey, I'm a Democrat. I'm a liberal Democrat. These are the things that I want to deliver for you. But again, not to go back to my example, but healthcare, single payer healthcare, I'm going to save you money. We get this passed, you're going to save money. And we have to walk and chew gum. So I'm also going to be pushing for, pushing down the price of groceries by going after price gougers, pushing for starter homes for folks. 'Cause growing up, $1 million house, we were going to have a gate, we were going to have a pool, we were going to have a fountain. Now it's like we got 4 walls, we got a roof, but like actually pushing for policies that are going to help people, whether or not they're coded as liberal, progressive, etc. This district is, I understand, Cook Index shows it's like a D plus 20 or whatnot. There are a lot of unaffiliated and a lot of Republican voters in this district. You have to show them, hey, I am not going to be Team Democrat all the way. Like, I'm going to be Team Deliver for you, as lame and cliche as that sounds. But pitching things of, Riley, I met Riley, he seems like a perfectly nice guy. He's going to be messaging as a more moderate Republican, but saying like, I'm going to deliver for you things that are going to make your life easier. And whether or not you're a lifelong Democrat or whether or not you're a lifelong Republican, like, I want to make your life easier. So vote for me on that.
Wonderful. Thanks, Michael. Thanks for coming in studio, too, by the way. That was quick.
Of course, yeah. Thank you for having me. Thanks so much.
Next up, we'll be talking to former Congressman Ben McAdams as part of our election coverage. Your voice, your vote. Stay with us.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour: Utah is in the top 10 states with the highest suicide rate, and health officials in Summit County want to change that. KSL News Radio's Isabella Sosa has the story.
According to the Summit County Health Department, Utah's suicide rate is double the national average, with suicide being the leading cause of death for ages 10 through 17. But the county's suicide rate has dropped slightly over the past few years, and the behavioral health director attributes that to school programs, the Mobile Crisis Outreach Team, which dispatches clinicians to a person in crisis, and the Safe UT app.
If you or someone you know is in crisis, call 988 for the Suicide Prevention Hotline. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: President Trump is on his way to the G7 summit in the French Alps.
This is the first time that these world leaders are meeting since the war in Iran began more than 100 days ago. And this possible news of an agreement could reshape the G7 summit altogether. Look, this war caused a lot of friction and tension with our allies. It disrupted the global economy, and thousands taking to the streets here in Geneva in protest, some of those altercations turning violent.
ABC's Rachel Scott reporting from Switzerland. It's been 20 years since the release of Fablehaven by Utah author Brandon Mull. To celebrate, he's launching a fully illustrated version of the book today and working on a movie that should be released next year. Your money at this moment: the Dow up 700 points to 51,907. The NASDAQ up 769 to 26,658. Coming up, get ready for some temperatures in the 90s. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
And we're back in studio with Sally Dietlein, Hale Center Theater Hale Center Theater co-founder. Tell us about the next season, and tell us also about, you mentioned season tickets.
Oh my goodness, yes. If you have season tickets right now, you can buy season tickets for 2027.
Oh, wow.
And if not, you can as of August 1. But I'm telling you, 2027, I work on this so hard. I mean, I'm already working into 2029 right now.
Oh, my goodness.
But 2027 is amazing. And one of the reasons is I've been working for 4 years to try to get The Lord of the Rings, which no one has done in the United States. There's been a smaller version of it done, but this was done on the West End in London and was magnificent, the full-blown thing.
Oh, I love it.
And then it just kind of, it was so hard to do, and it was so big and so flashy and demanded such technology to really do it that it just became hard. They did take it around the world, and they took a smaller version into Chicago, but we are literally the first in the United States to bring that full-blown version.
Wow,
And
I can't wait.
We had to get permission from Middle-earth.
Oh, wow.
That's J.R.R. Tolkien.
Oh, wow.
That's his family foundation.
That's incredible.
And then all of the producers. And so to get it is a cool thing. And we've got Come From Away, which is the story of where all those planes went.
Oh, wow.
When they were rerouted at 9/11.
Oh, wow.
And And that thing is fantastic. We've got West Side Story. We have the Three Musketeers coming in with all the swashbuckling.
I saw the Three Musketeers when you were in West Valley.
You
and
did?
it was amazing. It was
Isn't it
beautiful.
fun?
Oh, no, I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
It's even going to be better on that stage, right?
Yeah,
That
I would
bigger
think it would be,
stage.
yes.
I'm glad you
With
got
the fighting
there,
and
Greg.
whatnot. Hey, we need you to stick around for one more segment if you don't mind.
I'm going to be there and tell you
All
about
right.
the rest of the season.
Okay, thank you very much.
What if you had the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Thanks to the Xfinity Summer Savings Event, you don't have to worry about that part of your future. Now through June 22nd, get gig Wi-Fi for just $50 a month for 5 years with equipment and unlimited data included, no strings, no commitments. And get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. You're guaranteed 5 years of Wi-Fi that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them, like super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected from online threats. Plus, you can even try Xfinity Mobile free for a year. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities during the Xfinity Summer Savings Event. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account taxes and fees extra after 12 months. Regular rates apply to mobile. Select Xfinity. Internet required speeds vary. Use of fiber coaxial cable. $50 a month for 5 years. No commitments. Go to Xfinity.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. Let's go back to the traffic center. Cormac, what are you seeing?
Well, we're seeing a crash southbound I-15 at 200 North in Kaysville. They were blocking 2 left lanes. Now they're just blocking 1 left lane, that HOV lane. But heavy delays are still reaching back toward Layton Parkway. But once you pass the cleanup, you are in the clear on I-15 all the way down to Salt Lake. And really no major delays otherwise on I-15 through Utah and Weber counties. We do see normal delays, though, on the 201 freeway in Magna eastbound, scattered and light from 8400 west to 7200 west. And actually 2100 north in Lehigh looking pretty good. Still some light delays eastbound at 2300 west. IFA's Step 3 fertilizer gives your lawn the nutrients it needs to stay green in the summer heat. IFA Country Stores, helping to grow the things you love. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather forecast today, looking at a high of 87, and then the wind picks up Tuesday and Wednesday and brings highs into the low 90s. Friday, as hot as 96 degrees possible. Right now, it's 75 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, we have our third candidate now in studio with us, and this is former U.S. Congressman and candidate for Utah's 1st Congressional District, Ben McAdams. Thanks for joining us.
Great to be with you both. Thanks for having me.
So we started with our other 2 candidates so far, and there'll be one more after you. Give us your 30-second pitch to voters.
And nobody's gone 30 seconds, by the way.
I know, but you can try to keep it to 30. It's okay.
Well, I will just tell you, I have never been more worried about the direction of the country than I am right now. And look, I'm an optimist. In fact, you have to be an optimist if you're naively optimistic, if you're ever going to run for office as a Democrat in Utah. I believe our country's best days are ahead of us. But, this country will get better. We will come through this moment. But this isn't just a growing pain, something we're going to grow out of. We will not get through this moment unless we choose to get through it. And choosing to get through it means we have to have people who will be part of the solution, not part of the problem. And certainly, if you've seen, anything that I've said during this campaign, I'm concerned about Donald Trump and what he's doing to our country. But it doesn't start there and it doesn't end there. This country's challenges are deeper than that. I look at, what kind of world am I leaving my kids? I grew up in a home where my mom was a school teacher. She raised 6 kids, mostly on her own. We knew a lot of financial hardship. She had medical issues. We had a lot of medical debt. So I remember times as a kid that the power was shut off because we couldn't pay the bills. Remember times that our home was in foreclosure. But, she always taught me that if I worked hard and made sacrifices, someday I'd be able to get ahead. And I did. I worked my way through college at the University of Utah. And now we own a home. My kids have enjoyed financial security. But I don't know that we're leaving the same type of world for my kids and for my grandkids. It feels like today you have to work 2 jobs and a side hustle, and you're still falling behind. You're still racking up credit card debt, and you'll never be able to buy a home. I think that is what I think is really at the root of what's wrong with this country is hard work and sacrifice doesn't mean success anymore.
It seems like part of the problem, when you talk about part of the problem and part of the solution right now, Ben, is that when we see congressional votes, it's boom, all the Republicans and all the Democrats. Tell us what you would do to try to bridge that gap so it's not just every single vote is, and maybe not every single one, but it just seems like to us, looking at it from the outside, that you're either Republican or
partisan.
It's awful right now.
It is hyper-partisan, and that's at the heart of what's broken with Washington. That people seem to think that the problem is better politically for whichever party you come from than a solution. And we need people who are going to say, "Look, I'm willing to put the country first." And there are people who are going to be counting on me. If I win this race, people will be counting on me to deliver solutions, to make life easier, to bring down the cost of housing, to bring down the cost of food and gasoline. Look, I'm going to come in with strong ideas. I am, I'm an opinionated person. I have strong opinions, and I'm going to bring my best ideas to the table. But one of the things that I've learned being a Democrat in Utah, I was a Democrat where there were 5 of us in the state Senate and 24 Republicans. Certainly I went to battle. And you have arguments and you have staunch disagreements. But one of the things that I learned is that by listening, oftentimes my ideas got better. People talk about compromise as if that's a bad thing, as if that means good ideas get watered down. What I found is that by listening to somebody who had a different life experience, different background, different political perspective, my ideas got better because they saw things that I couldn't see. So I like to talk about not compromise, but resonance. What ideas can resonate, can get bigger support by more people? Because look, there are people who are counting on us. They're counting on us to help to provide access to health care, to a home they can afford, to a wage that is livable, that they can afford to put food on their table and raise a family, and that hard work actually means stability and prosperity. And so, look, I'm coming from the perspective that good ideas get better by listening, not worse. And I have a track record to prove it. I'm the only candidate in this race who has a long track record of getting things done, of building consensus, whether it's on reforming a broken immigration system. I led the charge 15 years ago to pass LGBTQ non-discrimination protections. We got the support of the LDS Church. We got the support of Equality Utah. This was an idea that resonated. It got better and it got stronger by working with other people. When I was mayor of Salt Lake County, I worked hard to address the homelessness crisis and an opioid epidemic. And we addressed it by, again, working with people who I disagreed with, but we expanded Medicaid and we got people into treatment. So we live in a moment where political courage is missing. And I talk about 2 types of political courage. There's the courage to stand up and and stand behind your opinion and to stand strong. And I think I did that. When I represented the most Republican district in the country, I voted to impeach Donald Trump. And I knew at the time it would probably cost me my election. But I looked at the evidence and I believe that what he had done was wrong. Certainly there are listeners who are going to disagree with my decision on that. But I believe it was the right decision, and I made my choice regardless of, it wasn't about politics, it was about what I felt was right for the Constitution. But I think there's a second type of political courage that's also missing. And, so I talk about the courage to stand up and to stand behind your beliefs, but I think there's also courage to sit down at a table with people who you may despise, people who you vehemently disagree with, but you have the courage, and you may want nothing more than to storm out of the room and walk away from the table, but you have the courage to stay seated with people you don't like because there are people who are counting on you to make a difference, counting on you to listen and to find the path forward that's going to resonate with enough people to pass legislation that's going to provide relief to people who need it.
We only have about a minute left, unfortunately, but what is your response to voters who may want somebody further left on the political spectrum?
Yeah, look. First, I would say look at my record. I've a lot of the battles that Utah Democrats have fought over the last 10 years. I've been at the forefront. I build a coalition and I charge right at it, and we've gotten it done. So I would look at my rhetoric. I would say that if you're looking for a fighter, don't look for somebody who's going to brag about fights they fought and lost. Let's look at the fights that we fought and won. Being progressive has to mean making progress. And I believe being progressive means building coalitions with ideas that resonate, that are going to provide relief to people who are counting on us.
We do have a minute left. Tell us what your next 8 days look like.
We are working hard to win every last vote. So, over the weekend, I was out knocking at doors. I was at street festivals. We have volunteers who are going out. We'd love more volunteers who want to help us. But we are out talking to voters and making sure we take nothing for granted and we earn every last vote. And so, today I've got numerous events that we're going to, meet and greets at people's homes, and then just getting out. Me and volunteers are encouraging voters to vote. If you are not a registered Democrat, you can still vote in the Democratic primary. You just have to go to the county clerk, Salt Lake County Clerk on 21st South and State, and walk in and say, I'm a registered Republican. I'm an independent. I want to vote in the Democratic primary because I want the best person to be on the ballot to represent the state of Utah. And we'd encourage people to get out and vote.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us. That's Ben McAdams, former congressman and current candidate for CD1. Next, we're going to round out our coverage of Your Voice, Your Vote by speaking to candidate and political newcomer Liban Mohammed. Stay with us.
Ready for your next Utah adventure? Enter KSL News Radio's America 250 contest for your chance to win an unforgettable Bryce Canyon getaway. One lucky winner will receive a 2-night stay at Ruby's Inn, the perfect home base for exploring the breathtaking beauty of Bryce Canyon National Park. Plus, you'll get a $500 gift card to use on dining, activities, and making memories along the way. Enter today at kslnewsradio.com/win. Sponsored by Ruby's Inn.
There's one choice for Congress in Utah's 3rd District, Celeste Malloy. Celeste Malloy has President Trump's complete and total endorsement. She fought alongside President Trump to secure the border, grow the economy, protect the Second Amendment, and deliver results for Utah families. Thanks to Trump-endorsed Celeste Malloy, Utah families are seeing massive tax savings, safer communities, and a country that's getting back on track. President Trump and Utah can count on Celeste Malloy to deliver solutions. She will never let you down. On June 23rd, vote for Celeste Malloy, the Trump-endorsed candidate. She has President Trump's
complete and total endorsement.
Paid for by Winning for Women Action Fund and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.wfwactionfund.com. Winning for Women Action Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
We're joined in studio again. I have to get my notes by Sally Dietlein, co-founder of Hale Center Theater. And you were telling us about the 2027 season, that if you're season ticket holders right now, you can buy tickets, but otherwise in August, you can, August 1st. But tell us about the rest of the season, because it is shaping up amazing.
2027 is so much fun. We've got The Woman in Black coming in. Now, that played in London for decades.
Really?
Just barely closed. It is the most mysterious thing, and who is the woman in black? It's going to be so fun on that Beehive stage, the new Miller Beehive stage with the projections. Every stage has its own flair, its own thing that it does. It's so fun. It's like taking a trip around the world within one building. It's going to be fun. And then we have a comedy, Bojest. We're going to bring in Tarzan swinging crazy in the center stage for Christmas, and A Christmas Carol Always. It'll be, I think, our 43rd production of A Christmas Carol. So it's going to be such a great year, 2027 is. And the remarkable thing about Hale Center Theater is the number of people who are coming in. Yeah. Like last year, we had over 600,000 people coming in to see shows. Do you know that with the new Miller Beehive stage, that's going to take us up to around 700,000 people a year coming in? That's more than BYU, University of Utah football. It's more than the Jazz now with the 700,000 in the number of people coming in. It's so fun to see people in Utah love the arts. The talent in Utah is crazy, and we get to use them all on those stages, and so we're having a ball.
I want to ask you just a quick question. If people want to sign up for those season tickets, where do they go?
Okay, you can go on to hct.org, which is the website. You can come down onto Monroe Street in Sandy, just off I-15, and come in and come right in. Or you can call in at 801-984-9000 and be part of the fun.
All right. Well, thank you. You're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We need to have you in studio again. Thanks for joining us.
I'm coming back. Just let me know.
We will have you back.
Thanks so much,
Thank you
Sally.
so much.
Thank you.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
Pump up the volume. Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
My name is Dale Pazinski. I volunteer with United Way to help the homeless in my community learn computer skills and build a basic resume. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
When American troops withdrew from Afghanistan in 2021, thousands of evacuees fled to the U.S. for protection. Many Americans welcomed their new neighbors.
For the last week, the governor tells me his office has been getting calls nonstop with Utahns wanting to help.
When we saw the pictures and the videos coming out of Afghanistan, we prayed to be able to help them.
But then, what happened? Listen to Stranger Becomes Neighbor, wherever you get your podcasts.
This message is for Karina, our mom who finished her high school diploma at age 28. Hi, Mom. It's Emmettith and Nicholas. Congratulations on getting your diploma. You worked so hard and have taught us so much. We love you.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
And expanded Inside Sources.
Well, we're joined in the studio by our fourth CD1 candidate, Liban Mohammed, and thank you for joining us this morning. I have to say, I was a delegate at the Democratic Convention, and you brought the house down. What was that energy that you had, and how were you able to get that there?
Yeah, it was such a beautiful experience, honestly. Probably one of the most memorable moments of my life. I think it comes down to a simple thing. Utahns are willing to take a risk on hope over the certainty of the status quo. A lot of us are struggling today, and they want to see something that's bold, something that's different, because they know whatever is happening right now clearly isn't working. And we came up with a message that resonated, that was positive, that was joyful. We've been running a campaign not against other candidates, but for the people, and it's something that I think hit people deeper in their hearts, and the crowd was so excited. It was like a wild experience. It was really fun. It was beautiful.
So, Liban, you're a political newcomer. How is it that you are getting your message out to voters about why they should trust you going to D.C.?
Yeah, I mean, judge me by my character and my track record of integrity and results. I may not have served in an elected official office, but I've worked in public policy roles, for example, as a government relations director for American Heart Association, where I got to champion efforts that led to extending postpartum Medicaid coverage from 60 days to a year, to things like guaranteeing every single high schooler, because of a legislative policy that we passed, has CPR training in perpetuity as part of their curriculum, as well as emergency dispatchers having that same training, to going out to D.C., actually spending more years in D.C. than others, funny enough, working as a congressional investigations lead for TikTok, fighting the TikTok ban efforts day in and day out to protect, the 7 million small businesses on the platform, over 180 million folks who use it to express themselves throughout the United States at that time. And when my integrity was challenged, I quit my job. I came back to the village that raised me and empowered me with all these privileges to be in a position like that at 27 years old, to fight for my community and to hold the big tech oligarchy, these major corporations, accountable. You leverage the expertise that I gained, so that way we can have somebody that actually understands tech up there. So I hope that I can bring that kind of a value and make it a beautiful experience for all of us.
Liban, in a time in our country when it seems there's so much divisiveness between Democrats and Republicans, what do you intend to do to work with the other side? Because you're going to have to.
Yeah. At a high level, it's this. No matter how much we're disappointed with the system, no matter how much we even hate the system, we can never allow our hatred for the system to exceed our love for people or blind us from our purpose. I don't care who you are. If you are a decision maker, if you have a vote to provide out of the 435 members of Congress, I will sit down at the table with you. I will do my best to resonate. There's a difference between compromise and trying to resonate. I believe that it's possible to be a progressive and productive, and I've shown that. Even when I was just like 18 years old, way back in the day, my first internship, I actually interned for a Republican. The way that the state legislature works is you apply and they assign you randomly. And my dad told me, I was like, I don't want to work for him. But I was like, no, you have to do it. You have to learn. See if you have conviction in your beliefs. And when I took that internship, bill after bill, the member, I disagreed with him on. But he was really kind to me, a mentor even to me to this day, a really kind guy. But there was one bill that I spoke up on. It was the Victims Targeting Penalty Enhancement Bill that was run by Senator Thatcher, another Republican. And what that bill was is essentially a hate crime bill. It would increase the penalties for a crime if it was done in prejudice towards one of the protected classes by one level. And I told all these stories to the person I was interning for from the heart, like, this is my personal experience, my family's experience, analogies, metaphors. And he said, a crime is a crime is a crime. And he voted against it. And he told other folks to vote against it. The next year, I got a call from Thatcher. He told me, Liban, you remember when you interned and the member that you were interning for killed the bill? Well, this year, he whipped all the votes to pass it and voted for it himself. And he said it was because of the stories that you shared and the growth that you gave him the opportunity to have. So that's what it's about. It's about resonating. It's sometimes people just don't see things the same way as you, and you have to find a way to get to their hearts to get things done. So I might be young, but I have the most legislative wins amongst the progressive slate of candidates, even when I was 18, 19 years old. So that's what I hope you judge me by.
So I have a question about tech. So you said you worked for TikTok. Right now, there's a lot of national and local conversation about guardrails on these big tech companies. Basically, I think on two areas. One is AI, the use of AI, but especially on kids and people under age 18. So how do you blend that, hey, I used to work for TikTok and I went and supported their ability to exist, and also I think there should be guardrails. Maybe you don't think there should be guardrails. Where do you stand on that?
Oh, I absolutely believe there should be guardrails. And I would argue that the reason there aren't guardrails for our social media platforms is because of the lack of expertise up there. They have a bunch of people who understand it deeply, who spend 40, 50, 60 hours a week studying, pitching, what should it be? And that's how they've been able to get away without any regulation. What we need is this. We need sophisticated, robust safeguards to protect children online. We need a true comprehensive environmental standards for our data centers. That means prohibitions of hyperscale data centers in water-stressed areas like Utah and everywhere else that's like this. It means cost causation rules, renewable energy requirements, water neutral requirements. It means we need a nationalized privacy law. We're the only developed nation that doesn't have a comprehensive nationalized privacy law. This doesn't make sense. It's time for a new generation of leadership to take on a new generation of issues that we're dealing with. I have the expertise it takes. I have the integrity to leave that golden ticket behind before I could accumulate that money. And I want to use what I learned to help my community.
You know, Utahns don't know Liban Muhammad. You haven't been around. What would you tell people about you that they don't know or that may be concerned about you as a candidate right now?
I wouldn't say many people are concerned about us per se, but I'm a product
because
of
they
Utah.
don't know you, I guess.
Yeah. Great question. So I'm a product of Utah. The privileges that I've gotten in my life at such a young age is a reflection of the village that raised me. I was born and raised out here by a community that treated me so well. And I want to be a leader that reflects the values that I was raised with, the privileges that I was given to empower our entire community with that same very thing. I'm a son of Somali immigrants. My parents came here to study at Utah State University for grad school. But as they were studying, the Civil War broke out and they had to stay here and settle down. They sought asylum, got their citizenship eventually. And that's how I was born here. And so I understand what war does to society. I know what struggle really looks like, what it looks like in other countries sometimes that aren't as, privileged as we are. And when you understand what that does to society, what that does to a community, what that does to families, you want to fight for peace. You want to do the right thing because you have that perspective. And I want to bring that perspective to the table.
So we only have about a minute left, but I wanted to ask you, if you were to win on Tuesday, how do you win in the general election when your Republican opponent is also 27?
What a beautiful thing this will be, right?
I know, right?
27 versus 27. I'm excited for this.
Absolutely.
This will be very cool. Simple. First of all, this is a safe Democratic district. And the notion that a person like myself can't win in the general election, if I were to win in the primary election, I think is something that people need to look in the mirror and ask themselves why they said that. I believe that we're going to win because it's a safe blue district and because we're doing the great work. And the very same thing of why we want the Democratic Convention and why we'll win in the primary election, which is we want to run a campaign that's focused on hope, focused on the fundamental issues that we're dealing with. Healthcare as a human right at a cheaper price, a roof over our heads, food on our tables, a government that works for us, not corporate greed and the war machine. And I think that's something that resonates across the aisle and with our Democratic base that's going to make sure that we win in November.
All right. Thank you for joining us, Liban Mohammed. And a great job at the convention, by the way. That was a lot of fun watching
Thank you.
And when we come back, we're going to talk about some wild things that happened this weekend, not only in Utah, but across the nation for some thrill seekers. Stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Heather Peterson. KSL's top story this hour. The outdoor adventure community in Moab is mourning the death of a well-known base jumper and slackliner who died in a base jumping accident. Andy Lewis, known as Sketchy Andy on social media, did tandem jumps with hundreds of people near Moab before he died. Ruth Bryson tells KSL Lewis did a jump with her.
It's funny how you can meet certain people in your life that you only know for a couple hours, but they leave such a big impact on you. And Andy was that for me.
Police say Lewis and a 50-year-old man died after something went wrong during their tandem jump near Canyonlands National Park yesterday. 2 teen boys are recovering after an e-motorcycle crash in Harriman. Harriman police say at midnight on Friday, the two were riding on the same e-motorcycle down Rosecrest Road when they had a crash with a car turning left. Police say neither were wearing helmets. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Great Britain joins the list of countries banning TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, and other social media from children under the age of 16. Here's ABC's Sherry Preston.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is asking why social media companies can't come up with a way to advance technology and protect kids at the same time.
Don't tell me that it's impossible for those innovators, those people who are brilliant at technology, to devise the ways to protect our children, and I think we should.
Australia, Brazil, and Indonesia, as well as several other countries, have also banned social media for kids under 16. Greece, France, and Denmark are considering similar bans. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 696 points, the S&P is up 138, and the NASDAQ is up 766. Coming up, it's our last day in the 80s for nearly a week. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Hi, how can I help?
Well, my husband and I feel like we've outgrown our current money manager.
I see.
Our lives have changed, and we need something more than just mutual funds to help us in retirement.
She's right.
I hear that often. At Fisher Investments, we'd start by getting to know you, your finances, family, health, lifestyle. We tailor a portfolio around your goals and needs.
Sounds good.
Can you help with estate planning?
Yes. We have a team of specialists who can help you with estate planning, Social Security, investment income, and more. We'll get to know your whole financial picture and help keep you on the path to a comfortable retirement.
And your fees?
We have a simple, transparent fee that's a percentage of the value of your portfolio. So we do better when you do better.
I feel better already.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com/different. Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
It's back, and you will be too. June 18th through the 20th at the Cache County Fairgrounds, it's the Summerfest Arts Fair, celebrating its 42nd anniversary, featuring local and regional artists and musicians. You're gonna love this, like you loved it before. Art, painting, ceramics, music, food. Summerfest Arts Fair is loaded with all the things you and the family love the most. Then get set for an amazing lineup of musicians, featuring headliners The Last Wild Buffalo, Harper's, and the Abscometrists. Enjoy other regional musicians like Fry Pan Band, the Lonely Hearts Club Band, and Puddin'. This is where local, regional, and national artists come together to celebrate the arts. Discover 172 artist booths, 38 performing groups, and 30 food vendors, along with a plein air art competition. Get full details at logansummerfest.org. logansummerfest.org. Summerfest Arts Fair, June 18th through the 20th at the Cache County Fairgrounds. The Summerfest Arts Fair.
This is Colin Keary from the New Millennium Group. Have you ever had a question for your financial advisor only to find out that the next available appointment is months away? At New Millennium Group, we believe that financial advice should never be limited to once-a-year review meetings. Life happens every single day. Markets change, retirement questions come up, family situations evolve, and when they do, you deserve answers. That's why we pride ourselves at the New Millennium Group on being accessible when our clients need us most. Whether you're wondering about your investments or a major life decision, our team is here to help provide guidance. We're not interested in being the firm you hear from once a year. We want to be your trusted resource throughout your entire retirement journey. If you're looking for a financial team that values relationships, communication, and responsiveness, we'd love to meet you. Give us a call today at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or visit us at utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Receive 4% cash back on cruises at uccu.com. Here's Michelle Rowe.
Reports of a crash. This is westbound on the 201 freeway in Magna. I can't see any eyes on that right now or any big delays, but it is reportedly on the left shoulder near the 202 junction. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feed store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeed.com. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today we're looking at sunshine and a high of 87. Then starting tomorrow, we start a 5-day streak in the 90s with the hottest day being Friday at 96 degrees. Right now it's mostly sunny and 77 degrees. I'm Heather Peterson from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
My co-host Holly likes to tell me on Mondays about the motorcycle accidents that she read about over the weekend because she knows I ride a motorcycle, which I don't consider to be a blood sport or a dangerous sport or something like that. But I was watching this weekend the outrageous activities that people were involved in that did result in death. Base jumping down in Grand County.
Killed 2 people.
Yeah, a bungee jumping without the bungee cord in Brazil. A skydiving accident. I mean, the things that were happening this weekend got me thinking about just the things that we do, the things that we and I enjoy the thrill as much as anybody, but you've got to stay in your lane, and it always troubles me to see what people are willing to do and the risk they're willing to take and what can end up happening to them.
It was a dangerous weekend for daredevils, for sure. And some of the things were just accidents. I'll just tell you, I'm just a chicken. Like, I barely can do roller coaster rides. I'll do some, but not most. I just am a chicken. So I have no desire to ever go skydiving. And look, the skydiving wasn't that their parachute didn't open. It was that their plane crashed. And that was in Missouri, but everybody on the plane died. There
were 11 skydivers and a pilot.
And a pilot. Yeah, and they all died. So I saw, you're speaking of motorcycle accidents, I saw there were 2 kids. They were 15 years old. They were on an e-bike. They had a motorcycle crash. They're both in critical condition. But the base jumping, I wonder if you know enough about that you can even tell me what base jumping is besides like jumping off a cliff.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is, and being able to sort of get yourself into a position where you can land safely. It's very dangerous. It's very dependent on the wind conditions and what happens once you exit planet Earth for a few seconds. And it's beautiful when it works. It's beautiful to watch it occur, but it can be incredible. I mean, you just get something, just a little blip in the temperature of the wind or something like that. It can mess up everything. My understanding is in Moab, it was a tandem jump, and one of the victims, at least the one that's been identified, his name is Andrew or Andy Lewis, and he is the owner and operator of Base Jump Moab. He also was known as Sketchy Andy in the extreme sports community, and I'm looking at an Associated Press photo. He was on a 555-foot-long slack line in Bangkok, Thailand, more than a decade ago, 2014. He's like, it's a tightrope, 555 feet long, on across 2 skyscrapers like that with no parachute. Like, what are you doing? Yeah, I mean, I understand, not because I've experienced it, the thrill of that sort of lifestyle. I mean, I do my share of skiing and mountain biking, but not at any level where you're, especially at my age, where you're putting yourself at risk. But I've seen things. I watch these extreme games, the Mountain Dew games or whatever they're called, with these mountain bikers. That
Aren't they Red Bull?
Yeah, Red Bull. That's what it is. They've taken over for the Dew games. But the things that they'll do, and I ride mountain bikes, but I look at that and think, not in my wildest dreams, at my highest peak of performance, could I ever have done something like that. And would I have even tried? Yeah. That's the thing, that people see these things. They're on TV. They're getting a lot of excitement. They're getting a lot of media, and they're willing to take risks that maybe you wouldn't otherwise. I'll tell you, the one that was troubled me the most was the bungee jumping accident. I think it was in Brazil.
In Brazil. Look, this was just
crazy.
Awful, and I made you watch the video because this young woman, her fiance convinced her to bungee jump. So she's going up. In fact, she posted on Instagram right before she did something about, how crazy it was that she let herself get talked into this. And then they literally chuck her off the bridge, but don't attach the rope to her ankle, and she falls like 120 feet and dies.
Yeah, and it's not exactly a bungee jump because the rope.
There's a rope.
The rope it's more of a swing,
right?
As you
but
fall.
It's supposed to be all attached, and
right.
Yeah, and they didn't do it. They didn't attach the rope, so people have been arrested now. But it was just absolutely awful over the weekend. We also had one here locally up at Bear Lake, and some of these are not extreme sports, right? People do these swings, they do the bungees. Again, not my cup of tea, but I've seen people do it successfully. But this person was scuba diving in Bear Lake, and he ended up passing away. So this is Saturday, and was an unfortunate accident, another drowning. So we've had a drowning and motorcycle accident pretty much every weekend this summer so far.
I know, and I was reading, just watching the KSL blips over the weekend, and talked about the thing that happened down in Grand County, in Moab area, the base jumping.
Yep.
And you think, okay, this is somebody, even if his name is Sketchy Andy or whatever, that
but it was his business. He owned.
He clearly knew what he was doing, and what happened, we don't know. Maybe we'll never know. But it's something like that. Every time you jump out off the rock, something bad could happen, and people do it, and I appreciate that. I absolutely do. My daughter did some extreme skiing once, and I just thought, please don't do that, baby.
Right.
And, just the jumping off rocks and cliffs, and, and she had fun, and she was safe. She didn't win, but she was great. But I thought, man, don't ever do that again.
Look, I've seen some video with it must be mountain biking, but the trails are so narrow that it's like you're going across a mountain peak that's barely wide enough for your bike tire. What's the appeal in that?
Yeah, not much for me. And it is inches between a great ride, a great experience,
and instant death,
and something horrible that can happen to you. Yeah. And some of those kids, when they wreck, it's life altering.
Oh yeah, I saw an international story. Actually, there was a man in Yemen. They called him the Spider-Man of Yemen because he did all of these climbing feats. They called him a daredevil. He was climbing. He's only 30, but he was climbing the walls of a volcanic crater in Yemen. and he lost his grip and fell 120 meters, which is almost 400 feet, into the crater and died.
Yeah.
So it's like he was climbing without safety equipment. And look, we've seen this. I've seen people climb, El Capitan down in Yosemite, and they're free climbing without safety equipment. And again, I don't see the appeal, but sometimes these don't work out well. And this weekend seems particularly sad.
And I've got a lot of friends on the ski patrol that do this ice climbing, and some have had some not really bad, but some fairly bad accidents. I mean, I can't imagine putting a pick into a ice.
Well, me neither. That's what I said. I'm a scaredy cat. I don't do any of that stuff.
I mean, I'm just not going to do that. And I'm past the age of getting involved in this. And Utah is a fun place. The rock climbing,
just be safe,
and the
smart
mountain biking, the things we have, and some of these people do things to be safe and smart. But man, you start getting in over your head, or you start doing something to try to show off, you can get yourself in a real jam.
We do have a texter that reminded us, too. There were 2 helicopters that collided in Brazil over the weekend and killed an American singer. His name was Oliver Tree. So,
that's right.
I mean, gosh, have fun, but be safe, okay? All right. That's my pitch.
That's the message for the rest of the summer, people.
That's my pitch. So next, we're going to be talking with Jay Evenson. He wrote an article about how we shouldn't be shocked about sports gambling scandals, but really who the real victims are. Stay with us.
This summer, Utah Festival Opera and Musical Theater is back. We're celebrating the 250th anniversary of America with a season that sings our nation's history and yours. First, freedom, passion, and unforgettable storytelling with the Tony Award-winning musical 1776. Starring 2 Michaels, renowned singer Michael Ballum and Metropolitan Opera singer Michael Sokol. Then, Gilbert and Sullivan's silly and swashbuckling. Okay, not really, but at least it's a pirate word. The Pirates of Penzance, plus the moving romance of the last 5 years. This year, we're even honoring the legal system with the courtroom duo, Scalia-Ginsburg, and the lighthearted Trial by Jury. The first is based on the true story of 2 Supreme Court justices who couldn't agree on anything except for their love of opera. The second is another Gilbert and Sullivan romp that'll leave you laughing. Join world-class singers, a full orchestra, and the magic of live theater in historic downtown Logan. Bonus! Utah teachers and students get free tickets. UtahFestival.org.
What if you had the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Thanks to the Xfinity Summer Savings Event, you don't have to worry about that part of your future. Now through June 22nd, get gig Wi-Fi for just $50 a month for 5 years with equipment and unlimited data included, no strings, no commitments. And get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. You're guaranteed 5 years of Wi-Fi that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them, like super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected from online threats. Plus, you can even try Xfinity Mobile free for a year. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities during the Xfinity Summer Savings Event. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account taxes and fees extra after 12 months. Regular rates apply to mobile. Select Xfinity. Internet required speeds vary. Use of fiber coaxial cable. $50 a month for 5 years. No commitments. Go to Xfinity.com.
Super deals on all sewing machines and sergers at Dave's Bernina in St. George and Provo.
Up to $500 off new Bernina machines from $3,000 to $6,000. Save up to $800 on a $7,000 to $9,000 purchase. And get a big discount of $1,500 on a new Bernina, $15,000 retail price and over.
Save big on the Bernina 475 and 335 machines.
Take advantage of low prices on the 770 Pro and 570 models.
See the world-famous Bernina 990 model.
That's on sale, too.
Come in now for bargains on trade-ins and demo machines.
Yes, Dave's Bernina has a limited supply of new machines, out-of-the-box special event machines that are available at incredible savings.
Don't miss this sale.
36 months, no interest financing on certain machines.
Dave's Bernina, 691 East St. George Boulevard and 2017 North 550 West in Provo.
Dave's Bernina. Does your denture look like a denture? Generic teeth, an unnatural smile, dentures that move when you eat, speak, or laugh? At Grandpa's Dental, we believe your smile should look like you, not a denture. That's why every smile is designed by our experienced doctors and handcrafted in our in-house laboratory. With 47 years of experience, we create smiles that fit your face, your personality, and your natural appearance. And if you're tired of those loose dentures and messy adhesives, today's fixed implant supported smiles provide a secure, beautiful solution that looks, feels, and functions like natural teeth. Ask about our smile upgrade opportunity. Full arch fixed implant smiles start at just $11,999 with some of the most affordable implant pricing in Utah. Your smile should be remembered, not your denture. Grandpa's Family Dental. Our business is dentistry. Our legacy is you. Call 801-449-0930 or visit grandpasdental.com.
Got an expensive AC replacement or repair quote? Get a free second opinion with Vyrock Heating and Cooling. Call or text 801-306-8360 or visit vyrockair.com. VAIRockair.com.
Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a gripping new 9-part investigative podcast about a serial killer you've probably never heard of, Warren Forrest, a sadistic predator who prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He hid behind the deeds of Ted Bundy, and he's only been convicted of 2 murders, but is suspected of many more. Since the release of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a witness identified in the podcast could lead investigators to the remains of Jamie Grissom.
He ran into the woods. He said he stumbled. As he fell down, he looks up and sees the body of a young woman.
And now the FBI is testing forensic evidence that had been collecting dust for decades. This cold case is now red hot. Binge the entire season of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley right now, wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the latest breaking news.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
You know, Holly, in my career, I deal with addiction, I deal with recovery, I deal with people who have drug addictions, who have alcohol addictions, who have pornography addiction. We don't appreciate, but we see more and more people who have gambling addiction. And we talk about sports gambling as though it's some, exciting thing to do. But sometimes it gets people caught up in a web, or a trap, really, where they're addicted to it.
It's a true
they
addiction.
get into it to the point where it's almost no way out.
Yeah. Look, we talked about this, I think, last week, but a Texas judge just shocked the world of school sports when he ruled that Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby, who made thousands of online bets, should be allowed to keep playing. So Jay Evenson, the opinion editor from the Deseret News, joins us now to talk about who the real victim is here. Thanks for joining us, Jay.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, gambling has just taken over sports, and it's interesting to me. You watch this ruling in Texas, and here's a young man, as you said, bet thousands of times, including on his own team. But I understand it was
wild
times when he wasn't playing, actually. But the NCAA has really strict rules against that. And the judge stepped in and said, no, I think he has to sit a 2-game suspension, and that's the extent of it. My concern is for this quarterback, Brendan Sorsby, who had already checked himself into a rehabilitation center. And you may or may not, I assume you do know, that this is a long process. You don't just check yourself into a center and then a couple of months later you're cured. There are frequent relapses, getting the problem with an addiction like this is it takes over your behavior. You do things that you know are detrimental to your reputation or your health, but you can't stop yourself from doing it, from placing that other bet, from trying to chase the bet. In my piece, I quote a Wall Street Journal op-ed from a young quarterback. I think it's at a Division III school. You probably haven't heard of him, but he talks about how this has affected members of his team who sit in class and are on their phones making bets all day long. And lots of them losing hundreds of dollars, and they're ashamed to tell their parents about it. They kind of withdraw, and they're just chasing those bets because they know right around the corner they're going to win enough to pay off everything. Mm-hmm. And it never happens. And these are the true victims, but they're being enabled by our laws, by a gambling industry that contributes a lot of money to re-election campaigns.
Well, and what about a judge who just says, here's a tiny slap on the wrist. A 2-game suspension is nothing.
Right. Everyone, some columnist I quote in there says, everyone acted the way you would expect. The Texas judge ruled in favor of a Texas Tech quarterback. Other schools are acting appalled, and the Texas Tech is vehemently supporting him being able to play. It's a mess, and there are schools that are threatening to boycott Texas Tech now, which is a further mess. But everybody in the meantime is getting rich off of bets. The NCAA makes money off of licensing. They license their logos, their statistics, etc., to these companies that use them in order to do their bets and their odds and that type of thing.
And there's really sort of two ways to look at it, and I think you did a really good job here. There's the integrity of the game, and that's what the NCAA is looking at. Okay, we want to make sure that games are being treated fairly and that people are doing their best they can, and we don't want gambling to interfere. But there's also the individual who's gambling, who's got an addiction, like you say, who's got he or she is the victim. They're the ones that are really suffering. But if we're focused too much on the integrity of the game, we may end up slapping them on the wrist for two games or something like that without really dealing with the core problem, which is the addiction.
Well, and the problem goes beyond student athletes. And there was a study done just a year or so ago by the NCAA that found that 67% of college students who live on campus place bets. So I would argue that these are victims as well. And these are kids that aren't yet mature enough to really handle these decisions about their money and, good financial choices. And some of them become seriously addicted and end up having to drop out of school or having to try to get help somewhere. And we don't really have nobody in Washington is studying this and finding out how many people are addicted to gambling, how this has increased since the courts made it legal, and what should be done about it. There are some people, Ted Cruz in Texas, a senator, is sponsoring a Protect Sports Act. Texas is one of about 12 states, including Utah, that does not allow gambling on sports. But they're facing constant lobbying from the industry to try to change that.
Well, you have, we've been talking a lot about the prediction markets and organizations that, like, their ads are everywhere.
Yes.
In fact, even just on Utah Policy, I'm getting pushed by the platform that the newsletter's on to run Kalshi ads. I'm like, no, thank you. I'm not going to do that. Yeah. But one of the things that you've talked to us about before and that you mentioned in your article is that gambling companies, they know where the problems are, and then they really kind of keep pushing them to keep gambling. Talk about how they do that.
Yeah, they use algorithms, they use AI to try to figure out who is placing the most money on games. And very often those are problem gamblers, right? And so they focus in on those people. They often provide them with what they call VIP status and may even assign somebody to them to give them incentives, free money to bet on this or that. Some of them are getting free NFL tickets.
Wow.
Those types of perks just to keep them gambling, knowing that they're the type of people that will respond to those kinds of incentives and will keep gambling. That's really cruel. And these are people who need help. And of course, at the bottom or at the end of every ad that you see, there's a 1-800 number to call if you're a problem gambler. Well, folks, if you're addicted, you're probably the last person in the world who's going to admit that or call that number. And I'm not sure how much good it would do anyway.
I've seen in my own practice, Jay, people who they get in this gambling hole and they think, I've got to get out of it.
I've got to gamble more.
I've got to place the big bet. I got to go bigger. I got to get out of this. And it's cyclical, and it doesn't help. I mean, it continues to get worse. And pretty soon, I mean, you literally see people who take food off their plates of their family because they're gambling instead of doing what you'd think would be the absolute necessity to be a father.
Well, and gambling companies rely on that. It's called chasing the bet.
Right.
And so that's why lots of times you'll see these TV ads and they'll be offering free money for your first bet. Here's a $200 voucher for your first bet. They don't tell you that if you lose, you owe that $200 back to them plus your losses. But they constantly make people think, well, I can win next time and I'll catch up. And you're chasing your losses. And for most people, it doesn't work very well.
No.
I'm going to ask you for your opinion, since you're the opinion editor. What do you think is going to be the result of this particular situation?
Wow. I don't know unless the NCAA finds a way to appeal this and retain their power to suspend Brendan Sorsby. I don't know that this bill Senator Cruz is sponsoring will pass. I don't think it will. There isn't that much will in Congress to overturn gambling laws, particularly among Republicans. Democrats tend to be a little bit more in favor of these problems. What happens if there's a boycott? Well, the Big 12 and the NCAA will have to deal with that, but that could be a real mess. Schedules are already in place. Texas Tech is a highly regarded team that's supposed to do very well this year. I really don't know how it's going to turn out.
Yeah, that's the problem you get. At Texas Tech last year, I think, won the Big 12 conference.
Right.
They were a representative for the college football
right.
playoff, so it's not like it's not like a smaller school. And so people are betting on that, and people are betting that they'll be a good school again this year. And so it comes back. Well, thanks for joining us, Jay. That was really insightful article. And for me personally, just having seen gambling addiction from the up close, it was very helpful. So thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
When we come back, we're going to return to the celebration of America's 250th birthday with a conversation about the promise of equality. Stay with us.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. A man has been arrested in Brigham City after police accused him of breaking into a home and pulling a blanket off of a sleeping 8-year-old child. Arrest documents say Robert Dudley was in the home for more than an hour before the homeowners discovered he was there and yelled at him, leading him to run away. He was arrested in the backyard of another nearby home and taken to the Box Elder County Jail. 2 teens are recovering after an e-motorcycle crash in Harriman left them with critical injuries. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
The 2 boys were driving an e-motorcycle down Roadcrest Road Friday night when they had an accident with another car turning left. Harriman police say both were taken to Primary Children's Hospital with critical injuries and neither had been wearing a helmet. This is the latest in several other accidents involving e-motorcycles and e-bikes. Last week, a father was knocked unconscious after going over the handlebars of an e-bike in Davis County, and in March, another teen boy in Ogden was critically injured while riding an e-motorcycle. This year, a new Utah law was signed requiring riders of e-bikes and e-motorcycles under 21 to wear helmets and for e-motorcycle riders to have a motorcycle license. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump is in France today for the G7 summit. He was asked about the new peace agreement with Iran and said the text will be released eventually.
This is a very powerful document, and I want it to be released so probably pretty soon. I would say sometime after Friday.
President Trump says the deal was signed digitally over the weekend and will be formally signed this Friday. He said Vice President J.D. Vance is supposed to do it. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 724 points. The S&P is up 142 points. And coming up, highs in the 90s this week. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Join me on the trip of a lifetime, an 8-day enchanting Rhine River cruise, August 7th through the 14th, 2027, so a year from August, aboard the elegant Amafiora, sailing from Basel, Switzerland to Amsterdam. We will cruise through the heart of Europe, past medieval castles, vineyard-covered hillsides, and storybook villages in France, Germany, and the Netherlands. And Morris Columbus Travel planned every single detail, so we just show up and enjoy ourselves. We're talking gourmet dining, licensed local guides at every port, a Morris Columbus tour manager right there on board, and exclusive pricing with savings of thousands off brochure rates. They've reserved just 50 cabins for our group, and I will be there for Q&A sessions and just to spend time together. This is a bucket list journey for me, and I hope you'll join me. Book in one click at morriscolumbus.com/KSL or call a Morris Columbus advisor at 800-999-4646. Optional pre-cruise Switzerland and post-cruise Amsterdam tours available too. Come see Europe with me. I can't wait.
Morris Columbus.
The Management Minute is a service of the MBA program in the John M. Huntsman School of Business at Utah State University. I'm Professor Scott Hammond. There are about 4,000 books a year published about leadership. 99% of them are written by self-proclaimed experts who see leadership as a fire that burns within. They assume that leadership is located in us, in the head and in the heart. Well, they're wrong. Leadership, like love, is a co-creation. It requires a relationship. It is found in the space between people. It is a series of behaviors, not traits of an individual. Leaders don't fly solo. They need a co-pilot and a crew. They need to collaborate. Learn more about leadership in an MBA from Utah State University. Go to utahstatemba.com. That's utahstatemba.com. I'm Scott Hammond. Hope to see you in one of our classes.
Snapshot from Progressive wasn't created for just anybody. Oh no, we made it for you. Gradual breakers. You keep your eyes on the road, so you've seen it all. As long as it all happened directly in front of you, like a Swedish masseuse, your foot knows exactly the right amount of pressure to apply to the brake. That's why your passengers feel totally relaxed with you behind the wheel and occasionally super sleepy. With Snapshot, safe drivers like you get personalized rates based on your driving habits. Sign up today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it'd go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. Here's Michelle Rowe.
We have a crash up in Far West. This is southbound I-15 at 2700 North. I can't get a full picture on it, but it does. It is reported as having the 2700 North ramp to southbound I-15 as closed. Also looking good on the rest of I-15. Weathers Construction delivers beautiful modern bath remodels. Done right, call 801-548-8409. Weathers Construction. Build your space better. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 87 today with mostly sunny skies. Tomorrow we could see highs hit the 90s with a bit of breeze. Right now it is 79 and fair. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL News Common Spirit Health Studio. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com, we're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
As we approach the 250th anniversary of our nation and of the Declaration of Independence, we hearken back to the language in that. And the language that we think about so much when we think about that writing, Holly, was what Thomas Jefferson wrote when he said, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, at a time when people...
Not all people were created
People owned slaves.
Yep.
When women didn't have certain rights to property and to vote. So we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal at a time when all men were not created equal. And so looking back 250 years saying, well, okay, are they now? And if not, why did that language exist? What were they thinking? You know what I mean? Like what was behind that? Because it's beautiful. We think of it today as one of the most beautiful passages of any writing.
Well, I think it's still aspirational, right?
Sure.
But this is there was an article written in the Deseret News, Why Promise Equality If It Wasn't True? And it was written by Hannah Stratford. So Hannah is a mom, a wife, a high school social studies teacher, and a graduate student with UVU's Constitutional Government, Civics, and Law program. And I really wanted to talk to Hannah, and so we're really glad to have her join us. Thanks for joining us, Hannah.
Thank you.
I really like how you set this whole argument up and how often your students say to you, well, did he really mean it? So can you just give us a little bit of your journey back and forth with having your students say, yes, but?
Yeah, definitely. So I teach government, and one of our core, documents that we study is the Declaration of Independence, and we read it almost line by line. And it often comes up, we talk about all men are created equal, and then I usually have a student that says, well, hold on. In 1776, all men were not created equal, right? Jefferson himself owned slaves. And from a lot of my teaching career, I was like, yeah, but, and kind of either moved on or just said, they thought it at the time, maybe do as I say, not as I do type thing. But I knew in my heart that that wasn't true, that Thomas Jefferson wouldn't write this beautiful life, changing line. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal if there wasn't some truth to it. And so that's something that I've been thinking about for a long time as I was teaching that.
So what was the truth to it? I mean, was it aspirational, or was it that all men who are white and male are created equal?
I mean, that's definitely a common misconception, is that, they didn't really mean all men, they meant all white property-owning men. And again, that was just something that I could not grasp, I could not accept. Because I'm like, we have such this great nation, and I refuse to believe that it's built on the idea that only white men are destined for equality and greatness. And so it's an aspiration that, at the time in 1776, maybe they weren't able to be in a place where we could end slavery, or we could, give the right to vote to all. But they knew that it was true. They knew that it was possible. And if you look throughout our nation's history, the Declaration of Independence has been something that marginalized groups have used time after time. Instead of looking at the Declaration and saying, look how we failed, groups have looked at the Declaration and said, here's our hope and here's what we can work towards. And they've done that so time and time again throughout our history.
So one of the people that you mentioned was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and he called it, if I remember correctly, a promissory note that it was time for the nation to pay up, right? That he was looking back to the Declaration and saying, hey, we're waiting.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's such a great way to put it, that when, the Declaration of Independence was written, it's not, hey, we're just saying these words because it sounds nice or because we just want white men to succeed. But we are laying out kind of this roadmap. This is where we want our country to go. And people like Lincoln, like Susan B. Anthony, and eventually Dr. King, like you said, took the Declaration and said, hey, America, this is what you've promised. Now let's live up to it. And they put in the work to eventually get there. And I'm so grateful that they have.
Hannah, tell us what your students, how they read it. Not necessarily when they ask you, what does this mean? But what are they telling you that they think it means?
That's kind of an interesting question. There's a lot of different interpretations. I think a lot of them do see it as unreachable, right? That this whole all men are created equal, and they still see inequality even in our own societies, right? We see students struggling with, inequality, with poverty, with lack of resources. So I think there's some students that still see this as it's not true. It's not happening. But then I try and tell my students that, there's so much that has been done, right? Look at how far we've come in these 250 years, that we're not perfect, right? We have not, I don't think we've achieved the final destination that the Declaration has set out, but we've made so much progress. And I think that's something that is worth celebrating, that is worth remembering, and is worth, taking upon us to move forward on future generations.
I like in your article where you said the Declaration of Independence wasn't written because equality was already in place, but because it's worth fighting for. And I think that goes to your point, right? We can still see the gaps, but it also has been used, as you mentioned, multiple times as a way to say, hey, look, this is our beacon. This is our standard. This is something that we can pursue. Is there, what specifically, as we're heading into the 250th, what message would you like your students, high school age, maybe young adults in early college, what kind of message would you like them to internalize?
I think the big message is just that the Declaration of Independence we're not done with it. That even throughout 250 years, that it's still relevant, and it is still, like I said, setting this standard that we're still moving forward and still fighting for. And if students do see inequalities, if they do see that there's gaps, right, that all men aren't created equal still, that they can do something about it, right, that they can use their vote, the institutions, the proper channels to continue to move our society forward, just like, the civil rights movement did, just like the women's suffrage movement did, and they can continue to do that and make those changes.
It sounds like you don't feel like this little internal maybe inconsistency detracts from the importance, the significance, the sort of the beauty all around of the document itself.
Oh, absolutely not. I think it's easy to get stuck in. which is where I think some of my students stumble. But when you read the Declaration, I think it's almost impossible to not feel something greater than yourself, that you want to move forward and kind of carry on that banner of, that promise that all men are created equal and that they are endowed with the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Right. And by men, we're meaning humanity, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't even a gender at that time.
Yes, all.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Hannah. That was so interesting, and what a good article, and good luck in your master's degree. It's really fun.
Thank you.
What a very enlightened teacher.
I know.
She's so young. I bet her students just love her.
So Hannah Stratford, yeah.
What a great dialogue to have with young people that I don't think about. I
know.
I think of all men are created equal as, of course that's true. But at the time,
but you're a white man.
Yeah, I know. That's you're
who
right.
owns property.
You hit it right on the head. Right.
Not to put too fine a point on it. Look, I really, I'll just say this. I'm seeing so many articles about America 250 as we get close to that anniversary. The Deseret News has been doing quite a few articles. Of course, we can find them nationally as well. But one of the things, too, from UVU, if you remember, we had Matthew Brogdon on, who is the director of the Center for Constitutional Studies there at UVU. And they have like a 6-part mini class on the Declaration with multiple different speakers. And so, again, I would recommend that to our listeners as well. Just really, really great information to remind us, right, why America as an idea is still worth believing in.
And go back and read the document again. It's a time to do that.
Absolutely.
150 years in the making.
Absolutely. And look, when we come back, I have to talk to you about dad jokes and how they're good for your health. You're going to love it.
Stay with us.
One of the best things about Soda Diet and Nutrition, and that helped me the most to let go of 70 pounds in 5 months, was their dynamic diet with the nutritionist tailoring it to my lifestyle. We get up super early, Amanda.
Yeah.
We don't eat at normal times.
Right.
And they worked it out so that I was eating at the times that my family did and the times that I was awake, so that it was customized to me. I had a friend who's a type 1 diabetic, did soda. Yeah. They customized it to him. This is not a one-size-fits-all thing.
I mean, people have food sensitivities, right? They have weaknesses. They have habits. So it's not one size fits all. It's for you and your specific health needs. This nutritionist you're going to work with, she became like my friend because she really helped me get through. I lost 37 pounds in 3 months, and I've kept it off for almost 4 years.
You can see the results by going to sodadietandnutrition.com. Everybody that does this and that sticks to it has the results without pills, crazy exercises, or fad diets. sodadietandnutrition.com. Because soda is, say it with me, Amanda, state of the art. More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
A family office is a team built to handle the 3 biggest financial responsibilities a family faces: wealth management, tax strategy, and estate planning. Most firms only manage your investments and refer the rest out, hoping everyone stays aligned. At Trajan, we built something different. Your wealth, tax planning, and estate planning are handled together inside one firm under one roof. There's no guessing whether your CPA, advisor, and estate attorney are truly in sync, because our team works together every day on your behalf. When your financial life becomes more complex, your advice should become more coordinated, not more fragmented. One plan, one trusted team. Call Trajan today, 855-TRAJAN-1. That's 855-TRAJAN-1.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. University of Utah Professional Education helps people gain practical skills and continue growing in their careers. Through flexible classes, certificates, and training programs, it gives professionals opportunities to learn, adapt, and move forward. Partnerships Coordinator Mary Alley joins us with more.
Professional education at the University of Utah has helped individuals and organizations build workforce skills for more than 2 decades. As a wing of continuing education, we provide flexible, non-credit trainings designed to meet the needs of today's professionals. We offer courses and credentials in high-demand fields like project management, human resources, leadership development, healthcare, and artificial intelligence, all taught by experienced industry professionals. Our programs are designed to deliver practical, in-demand skills for individuals at every stage of their career journeys. We also partner directly with organizations across Utah to create customized workforce training solutions. Our custom courses help businesses strengthen teams and stay competitive in a rapidly changing economy. Whether you're looking to advance your career, explore a new opportunity, or help your team grow, professional education is here to support you. Learn more and register for your next class at proed.utah.edu.
By helping people build new skills and advance their careers, University of Utah Professional Education is strengthening Utah's workforce and creating more opportunities for individuals, businesses, and communities to grow and succeed. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Any Hour Services can make sure your AC keeps you cool this summer. Whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
911, coming back what happened.
My son and his wife and their 2 children haven't responded.
Susan Powell disappeared on a snowy morning in 2009.
I said, Josh, where are you? You need to get home.
And her husband will never be held accountable.
Your wife is missing, Josh.
Yeah, but I've always...
And you want to think about it for a couple of days?
I'd had this overwhelming feeling that he had done something to her already.
I'm Dave Cawley, host of the podcast Cold.
Then he starts making phone calls to Susan's phone.
Hello, Susan. We are on our way back.
It's the deepest of deep dives into this tragic tale of abuse.
Where was Josh when Susan disappeared?
I don't know.
Of one mother's desperate attempt to escape.
This is me, covering all my bases.
Help prevent it from happening again.
Our focus has and continues to be finding Susan.
Listen and learn by following Cold wherever you get your podcasts.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
So, Greg, I'm already laughing. We haven't even started. You know that one of the things I love are dad jokes. And that I got to teach you about dad jokes is really fun. And I include a dad joke every day in my Utah Policy newsletter. So when I saw this headline in the Washington Post, science suggests cringeworthy dad jokes may serve a real purpose, I knew we had to talk about it.
There you go. Cringeworthy, yeah.
Okay, when does a joke become a dad joke? When it becomes apparent. It's another joke. Okay.
Is that cringeworthy?
Yes.
They're all cringeworthy.
Yes. Look, so they're one-liners. They're known for their punny, often groan-worthy humor. But research suggests that humor, this is serious, humor may play a meaningful role in parenting, and shared laughter helps strengthen father-child bonds. And you know, this coming Sunday is Father's Day. So leading up to Father's Day, we're talking about dad jokes. So this Washington Post article even breaks down what makes a dad joke work, right? So, so some of them are just puns. So long boiling water, you'll be missed. M-I-S-T, right? Okay.
Of course, right.
Some are literalization, where they take a common concept and turn it into a physical reality. So, for example, I'm worried about the calendar. Its days are numbered. Right? I mean,
yeah. And
so,
you know, they are totally reminding me of my dad, because he could not tell you enough dad jokes.
Look, before any research or anything like this, a very common dad joke is one that my husband used all the time, and my kids would say something like, "Hi, Dad," or "I'm hungry," and he'd say, "Hi, hungry, I'm Dad." That's a dad joke, right?
Course, right.
What's for dinner? I'm hungry. Hi, hungry, I'm Dad. So it's just so funny. So here are a couple. The Washington Post actually asked their readers to submit dad jokes that they found funny. I'll tell you one that I could remember for a long time. It's still one of my favorites. Where does the general keep his armies?
I don't know.
In his sleeveys.
I was driving to work this morning and looking at the beautiful pelicans on the reservoir by my house, Pineview. Reminded me of one of my dad's favorite dad jokes is, why is it called a pelican?
I don't know.
Because its bill can hold more than its belly can.
Okay, that's a good one. Here's another one. Why does the Danish military put barcodes on its ships?
I don't know.
So they can scan the Navy in. Here's another one. How do you catch a unique bird?
I don't know.
Unique up on it. Okay, look.
I surrender.
So dad jokes
totally
for the win.
surrender.
Look, it's just so funny. And I think really it is important. Humor is really bonding, and it's really there when we laugh. Like if you see the studies, I can't remember, but kids laugh hundreds of times a day, and adults we're lucky if we laughed a dozen times a day, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
one of the things that's great about the show is I laugh every single day. So almost every single day. So anyway, it's super fun. Okay, so today, here's another one. This is not actually a joke. Today is National Take Your Cat to Work Day. So we missed an opportunity.
Right.
It doesn't say that part. It just says Take Your Cat to Work Day.
I wish I had known that.
I know, right? And I could have brought you a kitten. Okay, so on this day, which is June 15th, which is crazy to me that we're already halfway through the month of June. But on this day in the year 1215, King John put his seal on the Magna Carta.
How important of a document was that? 1215.
Foundational.
Right.
Foundational
For sort of the way mankind has
yeah,
grown.
it was fundamental to even how the founding fathers were looking at the Declaration and why we needed to be independent, right? It was the first document that said kings are not actually above the law.
Right, yeah.
And one of the reasons I think he put his seal on it was you either approve this or we are dethroning you.
Right, and
right?
light and self-interest.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's right.
Yep.
So it was also on this day in 1775 that George Washington was appointed Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army. So a very important day.
Yeah, 1775,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, year before the 1776 Declaration.
That's right. In 1850, the first edition of the Deseret News was published. So they are 176 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
We were barely a state.
We were not a state.
Yeah.
That predated statehood.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, predated statehood. So I thought that was super
We
cool.
were territory, I think, yeah.
And then 1864, this is an important date, but Robert E. Lee, do you remember, part of the Confederate Army, his home area became a military cemetery that we know as Arlington.
Oh, okay.
So when he lost, one of the things that the Union Army did is say, we're going to take over this area and we're going to basically make sure we honor Union soldiers, and that's who was first buried in Arlington.
Interesting.
Yeah.
No idea. I did not understand that.
Yeah. It was on this day in 1974 that All the President's Men by Carl Bernstein and Bob Woodward, detailing their Watergate investigation, was published.
And it's interesting. We talked about the history of Watergate and how the Nixon Society, Foundation is trying to change history a little bit, look back on that, and maybe saying it wasn't quite as bad as
They even call it Nixon maxing.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Okay. Here's one that I think is super important. It was on this day in 1982 that the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that all children are entitled to a public education regardless of citizenship.
I wonder what that case was.
I don't remember the name, but one of the things that I think is important, especially with current conversation, is that there are some people who have said they should not be eligible. If you're here and your parents are undocumented, you're undocumented, you shouldn't have it. We should birthright citizenship, trying to get it go away. Maybe that ruling will come out this week. I don't know. But also that you're not entitled to a public education on the taxpayer dime. And the Supreme Court decided that in 1982. So they'd have to go back and revisit.
All children are entitled to a public education regardless of citizenship.
Yep.
How beautiful is that?
Yep. And then one more really quick one before you do your closing arguments. It was on this day in 2006 that construction began on the Global Seed Vault. It has the capacity to hold 2.25 billion seeds as, quote, insurance against both incremental and catastrophic loss of crop diversity.
I never even thought about that.
I know.
A seed vault.
It's like sci-fi, but it's real.
Like DNA for seed.
Right.
Like you got to keep a
right.
sample of everything.
All right, closing arguments, my friend.
Well, I have to goon you a little bit here. I don't know that that's the right word, but sometimes you're just brutally honest in a way that I should appreciate more. But when we were talking to our last guest, Hannah, now I can't find her last name here. Stratford. I said, I'd thought about the Declaration of Independence, but I guess I'd never really thought about that. I'd never really thought about the words that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I haven't really thought about the dichotomy in that. And your response was, that's because you're a white male. And at first I thought,
sorry,
ow, but the more I thought about it, you're right. You're right. I've never had to suffer. I've never had to worry about, people treating me with prejudice. I never had to worry about not being given the same income as another person, or the same job opportunities as another person, or the same opportunities to get into college. I have enjoyed that. And so to me, all men are created equal just seems like whatever. Like, of course it's self-evident. We all know that. But it wasn't at the time. And it wasn't for women, and it wasn't for blacks. It wasn't for the Native American population. In fact, even today, we see things that make us think, okay, are all men created equally? And so I appreciate the little jab, and I know it wasn't intentional, but it was meaningful, and I just appreciate that honesty, because I've been blessed. I've been blessed with things that a lot of people, like myself, take for granted. A lot of people aren't able to. So I think we need to hearken back to the words of the Declaration of Independence, and this 250th anniversary is so important, because even if it was aspirational, it turned out to be beautiful. Even if Jefferson thinking, oh, all men are created equal, of course, it's self-evident, what are we even thinking? But at the time, we weren't thinking about all men. By that, I mean all mankind, all men and women, all men of color, whatever. But we were thinking, all of us white men in this room are created equal. It doesn't matter if you're from Virginia or Connecticut or New York. And so, anyway, I appreciate the little reminder of how far we've come and how far we still need to come when we think about things that are happening and should be happening in our country. And so anyway, I always remember how beautiful it is to work with you. So thank you very much.
Thank you for those closing arguments. That's very touching. Coming up on midday, KSL News Radio's Britt Johnson is going to take over the new news. And I think you're taking a look at Utah Supreme Court vacancies. All right, stay with us.
And you stole my earplugs.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon, KSL News Time, 12 o'clock. Utah's noon news starts now. I'm Britt Johnson in for Maria Chaleos this week. KSL's top story this hour. The two nominees to become Utah's next Supreme Court justices are getting grilled by the state Senate today. KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson is live with the latest. Heather?
Britt, these candidates are vying for the two open seats on the Supreme Court that were created when the Utah legislature expanded the court from 5 justices to 7. They started with Jay Jorgensen, who previously served as senior counsel for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He vowed to recuse himself from any cases he's had involvement with in the past. His residency was also called into question, having lived outside the state between 1999 and 2020. But Jorgensen was adamant Utah has always been home, and he meets the 5 years of residency requirement.
Residency, yes, my residency was outside. But during that time, I spent every summer, every Christmas, most Thanksgivings in Utah. We're Utahns, all of our families here.
The other person chosen by the governor to sit on the state's highest court is former Assistant U.S. Attorney Stephen Dent from Southern Utah. His questioning is just getting underway. The full Senate will vote on whether to confirm the nominees on Wednesday. Reporting live, Heather Peterson, KSL News Radio.
There are also 2 other vacancies on Utah's Supreme Court after one justice resigned and the Chief Justice announced his retirement. Those seats will be filled later this year. KSL